Plays, props, and parlays.
Not only Blue Jays run line here, Cody, I might tease it up to an alternate run line of -2.5.
Join the chaos every Saturday from noon to 4 Eastern.
Can you explain to me how these are the same odds? Can someone please explain to me how these are the same odds?
Exactly what I was
I've
gonna
looked at
say.
this over and over and over again.
On your home. BetQL Sunday service starts now. With Sean Marash.
I will punch you in your stupid face, and I hate the Knicks. I hate their fans.
And Pat Boyle.
That's probably why I'm not a GM in the NFL, but if I was, I would probably take a huge swing on Michael Penix.
Turning your faith into fortune.
Few things in the gambling world I can't wait to bet more than the Jets under right now.
While serving up hot cakes and hot takes.
If Chet Holmgren was on that team, he's probably putting up better numbers than Wemby.
It's BetQL 5-Star Weekend, presented by BetMGM.
Time for one last ride. It's Sean Morash. It's Pat Boyle. It's BetQL's 5-Star Weekend. Our non-NFL season journey that began shortly after the Super Bowl concludes today on this Labor Day Sunday. Next Sunday, you'll get plenty of great BetQL programming, including Nick Costos working 17 days a week. But please keep it here locked into the network for the entirety of the season. But for the entirety of these next 3 hours or 10 minutes or 2 seconds or however long you tune in on your routine, thank you very much. I'm Sean Morash. He's Pat Boyle. We have our first college football true Saturday in the books and plenty to jam-pack into a show, including U.S. Open bets that Pat is just going nuts after he tells us last week, well, there's never any upsets in the men, so of course we only just focus our bets on locked in, understanding that the men, it's going to be bracketed, and we got this, we got to figure it out, and yet, okay, whatever. Now nobody's won in the men's bracket. Pat, hello. How are you?
Yes, Sean. That is the beauty of the sport. A sport that generally, in the Grand Slams, there isn't a ton of upsets. But man, this has been a wild one. Alcaraz, not even just beaten, destroyed in straight sets by a guy who has been contemplating retirement for the last 12 months. That's how freaking bad he's been. And I can say his name. And 99.9% of people can't say his name. Botik van de Zandschulp. So, yeah, that looked like it looked like hieroglyphics if you're trying to see that. And then Djokovic gets beat the next day. So yes, the bet that I gave out last week, Alcaraz and Djokovic will make the semifinals, no problem. Well, they go out back-to-back nights in the second round, or the second and third round. So there you go.
So hopefully Pat leaves us with actually money in our pocket today, because last week he led you astray. We will see exactly what happens. He's already rolling his eyes. I'll tell you, though, we hit on a couple things. We teased you up on Georgia laying the points, and they did. They laid that absolute wood on Clemson. That was huge. I, of course, sat there and sweated it out and lost with West Virginia with the points after a 17-hour weather delay. Didn't get the over on that. And last week, as Kenny points out, I was just about to get to it, all three of us took a Yankee to homer. Judge, Soto, Stanton, and you know what they did? A back and a back and a back and a belly to belly to belly. So in about an hour and 40, we're going to give you home run bets. So I say this all to pat ourselves on the back and let you know you're not wasting your time here. We do give out some losers, but we give out plenty of winners. And without further ado, Pat, it's time to have an honest discussion. It's hot takes and hot cakes.
Morning, people. Boy, do I need some hot takes and hot cakes. Pat Boyle and Sean Marash, give it to them.
All right, Pat is coming here with his Play Like a Champion today. What a win for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in College Station last night. It was, without a doubt, unless you were all in on Vanderbilt and Virginia Tech going to overtime yesterday, the game of the day when it came to the premier games, wrapping up at about 11 p.m. Eastern last night. How do I know the time it wrapped up? Well, I had about 40 people in my backyard and couldn't get them out, so that went down. But I will say this, Pat. I think last night it leaves me with two takes regarding the Fighting Irish before I let you go. Number one, I think last night cemented what we kind of assumed is going to happen in this expanded college football playoff. The brand Notre Dame, as long as they have a couple big wins and enough wins on the schedule, they're getting in an expanded 12-team playoff. I mean, think about how many times that the committees tried to make sure they got in a 4-team playoff, and a win in an SEC school at College Station like last night ends up by double digits will do that. Here's the problem. To get to that ultimate, forget championship, let's just get back to the traditional Final Four to pave their way. This Notre Dame team cannot do it. As much as their defense was flying around, Riley Leonard, the transfer, stinks. I mean, how many of the same bubble screens do we need to throw? Overshooting receivers. That was, while it was a fun defensive stalemate, that was infuriating if you bet Notre Dame watching Riley Leonard play quarterback last night. Now, ultimately, they get it done because Texas A&M is coached by no older respect, Selko. The moment you saw him come out with that hoodie last night, you knew they were screwed. I mean, he just looks like the worst Pop Warner coach on the planet. There's just a certain way you look and carry yourself. And I wouldn't have felt good betting the Aggies when I finally got a glimpse of him in head coach style. But Riley Leonard, Pat, come on. This is going to be another one of those Notre Dame quarterbacks that you guys like to hype up and ultimately will not make enough plays for this team to ever contend for a national championship.
I mean, I couldn't disagree more. I have no idea what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about. You're blaming the quarterback for a game plan that was ultra conservative, ultra vanilla, ultra bland, very bland.
And yet he was erratic.
No, I didn't think he was that erratic. First game as with a new team, Mike Denbrock, by the way. Can we have some stones, him and Marcus Freeman? Can we throw the ball down the field a little bit? 6-6 ball game. 6-6 ball. No, it's not, it has nothing to do with trusting in the quarterback or not. That comes down to coaching. That comes down to playing not to lose. 6-6, 40 seconds left to go in the second quarter. Notre Dame has it at midfield after another interception of Connor Wegman, that's a quarterback who you don't believe in. 12 of 30 for 100 yards and 2 picks. That's a quarterback to not buy into. Riley Leonard and Notre Dame take over at midfield. They get a holding call, and then Marcus Freeman, with a timeout in his pocket and 30 seconds left, says, you know what? We're going to run the clock out. We're not going to take a shot down the field. Forget about 2 shots down the field. We have a timeout. We're not going to take a shot down the field. So I thought the coaching from Marcus Freeman, that's somebody that if you don't want to trust in, you don't want to believe in terms of Notre Dame getting to the Final Four, Notre Dame getting to the national championship, that's who you put your blame in. Because we had several questions and concerns about him going into this season. The debacle last year with Ohio State, the bad coaching against Clemson last year. That's somebody that in the first half, I was pointing the finger at, not Riley Leonard. I mean, again, the guy was throwing bubble screens and 5-yard out routes, basically most of the game. And then when they did take a shot down the field, he wasn't putting the ball in a bucket, but it's also the first game on the road and the toughest place to play, the 12th man, right? I mean, that was a stupid joke. I guess they needed 13 men, right? It wasn't that tough. And that's a really good defense at A&M. It's a really good, Yes, and it's a really good defense that A&M has. Their offense is absolutely putrid, but their defense is really, really good. So that's one of the best defenses, if not the best defense, they're going to see all year. So I'm not going to overreact and say Riley Leonard can't be the guy to get Notre Dame to the promised land this year just based off that game last night, especially with the fact that Notre Dame, Mike Denbrock, the new offensive coordinator, and Marcus Freeman played that game for, basically 45 minutes not to lose until Notre Dame finally said, Texas A&M's legs gave out. Notre Dame just kept running right down their throat.
Good for you, Pat. I'm glad you really, really believe in him. I guess there's no way of us finding out if we'll be right because it's the last time we're going to do a show. But you know what? We will, because we'll reconnect a couple weeks after the national championship when Notre Dame is not in there. I hope, as long as they'll have us. All right, Pat, what's your take?
I was just basically disagreeing with you on that one, but I'll take it one step further here for you. I'll take it one step further because, we can hit on, obviously there's a monster slate yesterday. We can hit on a ton of games. I want to focus on Dabo Swinney. I mean, come on, man. I know you and I both kind of thought, Clemson's not that good. Take the points with Georgia. Thank you, by the way, I tweeted this yesterday. Thank you to everybody that believed in Clemson and got that line down to 10.5, right? 10.5. Everybody.
I mean, it sunk like a stone the last couple of days to 10.5.
I love all the closing line value champions. I got that at 13.5. I got it at 12.5. Yeah, and it went all the way down to 10.5. In terms of people that had Clemson, right. I saw a couple of people. Oh, I got Clemson 13.5 a couple of days ago. Yeah, it didn't matter if you had them 30.5. Georgia, absolutely. That's a bare butt beatdown that we saw from the Bulldogs yesterday, and I wasn't surprised. And I know you weren't either at all, Shawnee.
Well, Pat, you know what I was surprised about? The end result is what we thought the end result was going to be. That first half was a complete nail-biter until Carson Beck finally woke up in the second half.
That's a fair point, and I have reservations about Georgia's offense. I mean, I feel like we do every single year, but the defense is just, they get 6-7 guys drafted, 6-7 more NFL caliber guys step up. For me, Cade Klubnik's even worse than I thought he was. I mean, Clemson, after DJU was a failed experiment, they bring in Cade Klubnik, the big 5-star dual threat, freshman quarterback a couple of years ago. He stinks. Yes. But more importantly, This falls on the head coach. And if you have a live Clemson over-under total for the season, well, I'll get that as the show goes on here. I would assume it's probably 8.5 now after they lose. Maybe you get a 9. I mean, I'm going under, and I'm probably going to be putting my money against Clemson in big spots the rest of the year because Dabo Swinney is cooked. He is cooked, Sean. This is a guy that saw college football landscape change a couple of years ago with the transfer portal, with conference realignment, with paying players, and said, you know what? We're just going to keep recruiting out of high school. We're going to lose players, a dozen players basically every year to leaving for other teams because of NIL. No. As long as we've got our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, we're just going to keep recruiting out of high school, and we're going to trust that process there. I mean, has there ever been a coach that has been so lost in it where the game has changed in just 3 years that the game has totally passed him by? It has passed him by. Clemson is a bad team with a head coach that is not fit to coach in this landscape anymore. That's why Saban retired, right? That's why Saban retired. He didn't want to do with it. He didn't want to deal with it. Didn't want to do it. That's why Jimbo Fisher couldn't have success at A&M. Didn't want to do it. Didn't know how to deal with NIL. Didn't know how to deal with transfer portal. Dabo Swinney doesn't either. And Clemson is going to be a very, very disappointing team because of it.
Yeah, I don't disagree, and I want to go down to the Carolinas. I'm going to further your take. Now we are seeing some real evidence of this ACC, right? I don't know what the heck to expect tomorrow night when Boston College takes on Florida State as they get back from Dublin after what Florida State did versus Georgia Tech. Clemson, I mean, yes, they got stomped out by the best team in the nation in Georgia. How that matches up with the rest of the ACC, look wide open for interpretation. Let's figure it out. You still got to score some points here. But lastly, Pat, you and I were texting back and forth. The nerve and the gall of anybody off the Florida State game last week that sat here and said, you know, NC State's a sleeper in the ACC. NC State's a sleeper in the ACC. So I woke up, good mood Friday or Thursday. I think it was Thursday night. And NC State is playing Western Carolina, laying, the spread doesn't matter now because they didn't cover 33 or 36.5. And I said, you know what? Blind bet. No research on Dave Doran's crew. I've seen enough people, experts tell me, sleeper team in the ACC. They're playing Western Carolina, and I'm basically laying 5 touchdowns, and they're at home in Raleigh. No problem. So what do? I put the popcorn in the microwave. I sit down. Oh, the game's on ACC Network. Great. Thank you, DirecTV. I throw on channel, whatever it is, 611. Got DirecTV up. I bring a mountain of laundry up to my bedroom because, God forbid, my wife folds any of it. So I got 2 laundry baskets there. I got the popcorn. I indulge in a little gummy. And then I sit down and I go, I'm just going to watch NC State win this game 52-0 and put a little money in my pocket heading into Saturday. And instead, what did I see? Western Carolina scores the first points of the game. NC State drives down the field, gets stuffed on a 4th down. Okay. Western Carolina eventually is a 14-7 lead. Then at the end of the half, there's NC State on 4th and 1 inside the 5, getting stuffed again, or inside the 10, getting stuffed again. And we went to the locker room on the ACC network as I'm folding my own skid-marked underwear at 14-14. NC State, 14-14 with Western Carolina. Did they ultimately win the game? 10, 13, 17, whatever. Yeah, okay, because Western Carolina let go of the rope. But you're going to be a major conference contender, and what we're now finding out is a conference, and do that versus Western Carolina. And they weren't the only power that struggled. You look at Oregon last night with Idaho. What is going on with them?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all, Dylan, what's his name again?
Dylan Gabriel.
Dylan Gabriel. I was going to say Dylan Brooks. I'm like, Dylan Brooks, what am I saying that? Folks, I'm a little hungover this morning. Dylan Gabriel, Idaho. We had that up on the TV last night. What is going on? But just some peculiar. I know that nobody gives a rat's ass when you're a head coach, win the game. But in college football, there is some style points that go to this when it comes to a college football playoff. And I saw way too much struggling versus teams I was told were better than they were. And NC State could kiss my fat ass. I will not bet the Wolfpack again the rest of the year. In Oregon, you are on very much alert.
Shawnee, and I totally get your gripe, man. I really, really do. When, especially when you hear all the hype around a team, you see them playing a cupcake. the Wolfpack did put a little money in my pocket because I told you, I texted you, I took them live. They were minus 150 on the money line when it was, 17-14. I believe then. Then Western Carolina, it was 21-17. They were down and they were driving. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm taking the Wolfpack here. Hopefully, if Shawnee can't get him to win them some money, hopefully I can. I also took a bet that night when I live bet Carlos Alcaraz. So it all evens out. He's down 2-0 against Bandazan-Skolp, and he still couldn't come back and win. So, hey, you win some, you lose some. Them's the breaks. I think the biggest loser of all, though, from yesterday might be a guy that's a coach of a team that wasn't even ranked, but they were home. They laid a giant stinker. And you're on mute. So I can toss this to break, or Shawnee can do it. All right, I'll toss this to break here. It's Pat Boyle, Sean Marash, BetQL 5-Star Weekend. We're just getting rolling. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. BetQL Network.
BetQL 5-Star Weekend. We'll be back on the BetQL Network. Presented by BetMGM, the sports book born in Vegas. Home for Wagertainment, the BetQL Network. Presented by BetMGM.
Are you ready for the most interactive sports gambling show? Introducing BetQL's Send It In with PJ Glasser. We want to hear from you. Send It In is about your picks, your trends, and your fades. Share your thoughts, predictions, and your daily best bets with the Send It In community. Set your reminders, mark your calendars, and get ready to send it in on weekday afternoons at 1 Eastern on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. On your home for Wagertainment, the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM.
Baseball is winning on the BetQL Network with Bet for the Cycle featuring Cody Decker.
Cody Decker, former professional baseball player, turned professional smartass on the radio.
And handicapper Rob Brown.
Couldn't hit a baseball off a high school pitcher. That's why I played soccer.
Double plays, props, and parlays.
Not only Blue Jays run line here, Cody, I might tease it up to an alternate run line of minus 2.5.
Join the chaos every Saturday from noon to 4 Eastern.
Can you explain to me how these are the same odds? Can someone please explain to me how these are the same odds?
Exactly what I was
I've
gonna
looked at
say.
this over and over and over again.
On your home for Wagertainment, the BetQL Network. Presented by BetMGM.
Are you ready for the most interactive sports gambling show? Introducing BetQL's Send It In with PJ Glasser. We want to hear from you. Send It In is about your picks, your trends, and your fades. Share your thoughts, predictions, and your daily best bets with the Send It In community. Set your reminders, mark your calendars, and get ready to send it in on weekday afternoons at 1 Eastern on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. On your home for Wagertainment, the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM.
Baseball is winning on the BetQL Network with Bet for the Cycle featuring Cody Decker.
Cody Decker, former professional baseball player, turned professional smartass on the radio.
And handicapper Rob Brown.
Couldn't hit a baseball off a high school pitcher. That's why I played soccer.
Double plays, props, and parlays.
Not only Blue Jays run line here, Cody, I might tease it up to an alternate run line of minus 2.5.
Join the chaos every Saturday from noon to 4 Eastern.
Can you explain to me how these are the same odds? Can someone please explain to me how these are the same odds?
Exactly what I was
I've
gonna
looked at
say.
this over and over and over again.
On your home for Wagertainment, the BetQL Network. Presented by BetMGM.
Are you ready for the most interactive sports gambling show? Introducing BetQL's Send It In with PJ Glasser. We want to hear from you. Send It In is about your picks, your trends, and your fades. Share your thoughts, predictions, and your best daily best bets with the Send It In community. Set your reminders, mark your calendars, and get ready to send it in on weekday afternoons at 1 Eastern on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM.
Five-star weekend on the BetQL Network. Presented by BetMGM. The sportsbook born in Vegas. Download the app today.
Weekend presented by BetMGM. I'm Sean Morash. He's Pat Boyle. It's September 1st. It's our final show before the football switchover, the annual football switchover here on BetQL. I'm going to thank these guys a million times, but this was not an easy show to produce. I'm a pain in the ass. Pat's a pain in the ass. We lost our initial producer, Mario, full-time BetMGM tonight. Amir Tyree stepped in, did a tremendous job throughout. Kenny Gunnar Henderson, who constantly was with us giving home run bets, and he will do so again an hour and 25 minutes. I'm losing track. Yeah, that's about right. He even had to pay off a bet where he talked with his belly button, did it reluctantly, but did it and delivered constantly. Dan Turner's been amazing. So thank those guys throughout. Also, before we get to our five teams / players that we were impressed with the most yesterday or this college football weekend, I would be remiss if I just didn't mention the passing of Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau and just the absolute tragedy that was Thursday night. Look, there's no way to dissect this or to twist this any other way. And it's a good time to remind you, all of you, gamblers, sports fans alike, 2 beers, 3 beers, it doesn't matter. It is so easy to order an Uber, a Lyft, your rideshare of choice. It's not about finding a payphone to call a cab company anymore, as if that was an excuse anyway. There is no place in this world for drunk driving anymore. And if I'm not going to ask, questions, guilt, if you've been guilty of it in the past, don't be guilty of it again. Because all it takes is one wrong turn, wrong misjudgment, and an entire family is completely ruined, like what has happened to the Gaudreau family and beyond. 2 young children, it's sick to my stomach. I've seen plenty of social commentary over that. Don't over dissect it. Don't worry about why they were riding bikes at night, in a right lane, whatever. Don't overthink this. The bottom line is this: drive clearly with your mind and don't take the chance that you end up ruining somebody's family, because that's exactly what went down last night. And it goes well beyond the spectrum of hockey, the world of hockey. Obviously, an enormous loss for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Clearly, an enormous loss for the game of hockey, but it's just an enormous loss of life and love and laughter, and there's no place for it. So, look, that's it. We all have these phones, right? We all sit in here, you listen, you get your BetMGM app. Make sure right next to that is an Uber or a Lyft app. I don't care if you're at your buddies, you're at a bar watching football season, call that, leave the car, you figure it out. You have no problem losing $30 on a Notre Dame parlay. Lose the $30 to make sure you get home safely and everybody around you gets home safely. That's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, that's
Pat?
well said, man. That's well said. It's
all right.
The headline was unimaginable tragedy. I sure as hell can't imagine me and my brother how my family would try to live their life after that. Try to go on if that happened to us the night before my sister's wedding. So, yeah, we gamble a lot of things. Don't gamble with your life when it comes to drinking and driving, bro. It has never been easier to call a Lyft or call an Uber And don't just think,
That's it.
I've only, don't think, well, I've only had a couple. I'm fine. Like you said, all it takes is one split second of a lapse in judgment when you're driving, when your motor skills are already impaired for something like that to happen.
Yeah, there's just a ton of things that you can easily, lazily do from your phone. One of them is calling a rideshare to get you home. It's so simple now. Perhaps the best part of having a smartphone. All right, without further ado, Pat, I'm going to be full disclosure, as I always am with the audience. We have a little show rundown we go through, and we kind of fill out the blanks. And our next segment, we're going to, our segment currently now, in order 5 through 1 of the things that, impressed us the most, I guess would be the word, this college football weekend. I'm staring at a blank slate from Pat. So, Pat, how do you want to do this? Am I just going to rip off my 5, then turn to you for your 5? How do you want to do this?
No, we can go tit for tat, baby. Just because it's blank doesn't mean it's not locked and loaded. I'll tell you that much.
Are you sure about that, Pat? Because there was something
Yeah.
that happened locally this week where, not everything was locked and loaded. I don't know if the audience needs to know about.
It was locked and loaded when I did single to 5 on WFAN. I had to run the board myself and run all the elements of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I had not necessarily my script, but I had my list, 5 things, whatever we were
Pat,
talking about. Hold on. I combined
No, but
2
nobody
things
knows what you're
into
talking
one.
about. I want to explain.
It was a list of 5 things, the 5 best things at the U.S. Open. I combined 2 things, I combined number 4 and number 3 into one thing. And then when I got back to, I looked at the list, I said, oh, bleep. And I'm talking live and I'm playing the elements and I'm doing this. And I'm like, I combined 2. I don't have a number 1 anymore. Or my number 1 is now number 2.
Imagine as an audience, you're listening to a list build and build and build to get the number 1, and the guy giving it has no number 1. That's what Pat did to the local audience in New York. So that's why I'm questioning, as we do a 5 through 1 list, what exactly is going to go down here. But here we go. All right. The 5 things that, am I even wording this right? I got to look what Amir worded this right. The top 5 college football performances from Saturday, players or teams. All right. Number 5 for me is Kalen DeBoer in Alabama. I don't care if you're not interested by some garbage game versus some garbage team. The fact of the matter is, when Alabama opens up versus a cupcake like they did, it was Western Kentucky. I questioned, because Western Kentucky always has a good offense. Would they score points? And Kalen DeBoer in his first game, think about this, you fill in the shoes of Nick Saban. They absolutely squashed out Western Kentucky and left no doubt. Now, some will say, of course, what did you expect? No. They should do that, but we brought up Oregon. We brought up NC State. We brought up Florida State a week ago. There are plenty of schools that we've seen on the map have closer games than should have been that still ended up winning, and yet Alabama didn't fool around at all, and I think that was enormous for Kalen DeBoer just to breathe that sigh of relief. I mean, you're following Nick Saban at Alabama, and he left no doubt in game number 1, so that impressed me in my number 5 slot here, Pat.
Yeah, number 5 for me, and this is also kind of a shout out more than anything. I mean, he basically, I don't think he played the 4th quarter. He didn't need to. But how about we give it up for 39-year-old Cam Rising, right? I mean, my guy, he's back. The hair is as great as ever. The V for Vendetta facial hair thing he's got going on is as bad as ever. And he's back, baby. Cam Ward with, again, a cupcake school, Southern Utah. But, more so just excited than anything else. And, yeah, there's like we said, Dylan Gabriel didn't deliver against Cupcake School. Cam Rising, 10 of 15, 254 yards and 5 touchdowns. I saw the highlights from this game. I wasn't watching Southern Utah versus Utah live. But, I mean, just making it look easy, man. I think we forget how good this guy is and how old this guy is, but also how good Cameron Rising is. So he's back, baby. The Utes, because I think they're a team, I think they win the Big 12. Right, they're probably, if I were to place a future bet at any point this season on the conference, I wanted to kind of see how things shake out a little bit. But I love the Utes, man, and now that Cam Rising is back, if he's healthy, he's one of the best quarterbacks in college football, and he proved it even against a cupcake over the weekend.
I'm in on that. Number 4 for me, Boyle. Look, I'm not going to lie to the audience. I lost a couple parlays that rubbed me the wrong way. 2-leggers, got stung. West Virginia, Penn State really screwed me up yesterday. So when I scanned the 330 board, I was on Florida a little bit. Thankfully, not for a lot. They didn't have it. But the team that put the most money in my pocket yesterday, and the reason I'm on the positive side after the first college football Saturday, is the Texas Longhorns. Sitting there at a 33.5-point spread. They went out versus Colorado State. Again, on a weekend where you saw a lot of games too close for comfort, and Quinn Ewers was awesome. And Texas's running game was awesome. And they were so awesome that when they called off the dogs, they brought in Arch Manning, and he ran in a touchdown. And we got a touchdown from Arch Manning. Look, Colorado State stinks. Texas is going to have much bigger foes here coming up in the SEC. But I'm going back to the same topic I just gave you for number 5 with Alabama. And college football ain't the NFL. Leave no prisoners. Leave no doubt. Quinn Ewers, Sark, Texas, even down to Arch Manning, off to a hot start. What an effort. What a moment for them, just squashing at home Colorado State. And again, it's selfish because they're all.
Yeah, and that's a Rams team that, remember, they put themselves on the map with their performance against Colorado last year, how much they battled, and ultimately we thought Deion Sanders' team was better than they were. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you never got confused and you never bought into the hype. But still, it was a good battle that Jay Norvell's squad gave us last year. But yeah, they just got absolutely, like you said, they got squashed like a bug under your boot. Get lost, bug. That's what Texas did to them. I want to give a shout out to running back, right? I know it's all about the quarterbacks. It's all about the primetime players, the big men on campus. Well, there's a guy that's running around Boise, Idaho today with a lot of chicks numbers in his pocket, and that's the Boise State running back, Ashton Jeanty. School record 267 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns. Now, again, came against a cupcake school, right? Boise State, they're in a battle with freaking Georgia Southern going down to the final couple of minutes yesterday. But still, I mean, preseason All-American, Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year. And again, I'm giving these out more so as a, hey, keep an eye out if you're looking at that Heisman futures market. Ashton Jeanty, 267 and 6 touchdowns. Yeah, he's gonna open up some eyes if he didn't yesterday. Preseason All-American, Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year from last year. If Boise State's even going to be remotely good, they're going to keep feeding this kid the rock 25, 30 times a game on the ground and through the air. So look out for Ashton Jeanty. He put on an absolute show yesterday.
All right, number 3 for me. I couldn't have been more wrong on this game. When I looked at Florida's schedule, I said, man, they're going to have a tough time finding wins. But really, we're getting points at home in the swamp versus the U. How many times do I got to hear the U is back, the U is back, the U is back? Is the U back? I mean, with Cam Ward and company, that was an unbelievable, never a game. Essentially, from the end of the first quarter on, never a game. And as we sit here and bemoan the ACC, maybe, just maybe, this is the year the U finds its way back here, or at least back to the point where they're the best team in the ACC. I don't know how after this first week and a half of college football, you don't look at Florida State, you don't look at Clemson. Obviously, I brought up NC State, even Virginia Tech, who people thought a little bit of a sleeper there. They were all losing the game to Vanderbilt down there in Nashville yesterday. And the one team, the ACC, you could poke your head out and feel good about. I mean, what Miami did on the road yesterday was incredible. So we hear it every year about Miami, and then the wheels fall off. They lose 4 games. They lose 5 games. But with an expanded playoff and the ACC is going to have a representative, maybe the U is back. And if they're not, then Florida is going to be an abomination this year, Pat.
Yeah, I mean, that was the tease I gave going into last break. Maybe the biggest loser of all yesterday is Billy Napier. I mean, a guy his seat has been hot basically since he walked through the doors in Gainesville. And the swamp, yeah, it sure stunk like one yesterday. I mean, they, like you said, never really a game. They never really got in the game. Nothing on offense, right? I mean, just lack of a clue from the head coach. And you see the video of him shaking the interim president's hand at the end of the end zone last year. I thought that was a new thing. Apparently, he's done that a couple of times, but still, imagine that conversation. Hey, you can turn in your ID card tomorrow morning, pal. I mean, that's a conversation they're going to be happening sooner rather than later. Number 3 for me, and again, I want to give out some more love. Where a bunch of schools are playing cupcakes. Arizona was playing one last night. I only know this because I was doing an update shift for WFAN in New York and Infinity Sports Network. So I gotta be up until gotta be doing live updates. I can't start recording updates until 3 a.m. because Arizona's playing till freaking 2:20 a.m. Eastern.
Yes.
But they put on a show, and I live bet them not once, twice in this one. I said this kid Titaroa McMillan, the receiver, putting on a freaking show. 10 catches. 304 yards. That's a school record, and 4 touchdowns. And again, they played New Mexico. So one of the 4 standalone games we had last week for week 0. Remember they were beating Montana State before the Bobcats finally figured it out and turned the engine on. But man, I mean, the catches this kid was making, high pointing the ball, just mossing guys left and right. He had like a couple of 50-yard grabs. He ends up having a 78-yard touchdown catch. He was unbelievable. Now, again, I'm not saying this kid's going to win the Heisman, but Arizona with Noah Fafita at quarterback. Keep an eye out for the Wildcats in what are they in the Mountain West now, right? The Pac-2, which has now become the Mountain West. Keep an eye out for the Wildcats, and keep an eye out for Titaroa McMillan. This kid was special last night watching this game at freaking 2 a.m. with my eyes half open.
I did have a moment as that game kicked off. Oh, by the way, lost with San Diego State lane 33.5 just at the end there too. Can you cover there? That was one of those. I looked around. There was like 3 people left. I'm like, oh my God, they're not staying until 2:30 in the morning, are they? Because I got to wake up with Pat Boyle and do the show. I can't make it to this New Mexico State game or this New Mexico game. This is a bad scene. But luckily, people got the hell out of there. All right, number 2 for me. I'm going to kind of combine, Pat, I'm going to combine them. I'll get to number 1 in a second. But Carson Beck, I was really worried about him in the first half of yesterday's game versus Clemson. Now, granted, I'm going to watch every college football game and tease this because I lost track of time, and we're going to continue this on the other side. But I'm going to watch every college football game from the prism of who can the New York Giants draft? So keep that in mind with what I tease next, okay? It's BetQL's 5-star weekend. We will finish out our list, continue to talk a little college football, and trek on in our final 5-star weekend of the non-NFL season. It is brought to you by BetMGM, and I have a beautiful face, and so does Pat. Go check us out on Twitch. We'll be right back.
Baseball is winning on the BetQL network with Bet for the Cycle featuring Cody Decker.
Cody Decker, former professional baseball player, turned professional smartass on the radio.
And handicapper Rob Brown.
Couldn't hit a baseball off a high school pitcher. That's why I played soccer.
Double plays, props, and parlays.
Not only Blue Jays run line here, Cody, I might tease it up to an alternate run line of -2.5.
Join the chaos every Saturday from noon to 4 Eastern.
Can you explain to me how these are the same odds? Can someone please explain to me how these are the same odds?
Exactly what I was
I've
gonna
looked at
say.
this over and over and over again.
On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL network, presented by BetMGM.
Are you ready for the most interactive sports gambling show? Introducing BetQL's Send It In with PJ Glasser. We want to hear from you. Send It In is about your picks, your trends, and your fades. Share your thoughts, predictions, and your daily best bets with the Send It In community. Set your reminders, mark your calendars, and get ready to send it in on weekday afternoons at 1 Eastern on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL network, presented by BetMGM.
Baseball is winning on the BetQL network with Bet for the Cycle featuring Cody Decker.
Cody Decker, former professional baseball player, turned professional smartass on the radio.
And handicapper Rob Brown.
Couldn't hit a baseball off a high school pitcher. That's why I played soccer.
Double plays, props, and parlays.
Not only Blue Jays run line here, Cody, I might tease it up to an alternate run line of -2.5.
Join the chaos every Saturday from noon to 4 Eastern.
Can you explain to me how these are the same odds? Can someone please explain to me how these are the same odds?
Exactly what I was
I've
gonna
looked at
say.
this over and over and over again.
On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL network, presented by BetMGM.
Are you ready for the most interactive sports gambling show? Introducing BetQL's Send It In with PJ Glasser. We want to hear from you. Send It In is about your picks, your trends, and your fades. Share your thoughts, predictions, and your best daily best bets with the Send It In community. Set your reminders, mark your calendar.
Welcome back to BetQL 5-Star Weekend on the BetQL Network. Presented by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Download the app today.
We're back. It's BetQL's 5-Star Weekend presented by BetMGM. Full disclosure, I don't like listening to people eat on the radio, but I'm doing it right now, so I want to apologize.
You and your daughters are the best, by the way, dude.
My kids, yeah, they just came into commercial break. They are, there's something else. They are as beautiful as could be. But yeah, I'm sucking down chicken tenders left over. I had about 50 people over yesterday for the first college football Saturday. 3 feet of Big Hero sandwich, whatever you want to talk about. Wings, chicken fingers. I was doing kebabs on the Blackstone. I had a guy smoking ribs. Oh, I mean, it didn't end. The mac salad, the potato salad, the roasted potatoes. I had 100 wings at the house yesterday. Then I had little pretzels from Philly Pretzel Factory. They came in the house yesterday. A BLT dip, a jalapeno popper dip, a buffalo chicken dip, a taco dip. People ate. They drank. You got to see my recyclable pails. I mean, a mountain here, Pat. But it was some scene, and a big house bet on Notre Dame last night. But I'll say this:
love that.
if my kids were expecting Yale, they can blame Billy Napier.
Well, I think usually if you get into an Ivy League school, I think they find a way to make it work for you. I will say this. Yes, I will say this. I have never been closer to no showing a shift at WFAN than yesterday when I'm at the U.S. Open and I got to leave at 6 o'clock to go, do the update shift last night. And I said, man, close to Long Island.
Oh boy,
Really nice to just go to Shawnee's and watch Notre Dame lay the smackdown on A&M. But I'm a blue collar guy. I'm a hard hat guy, so I decided to show up for work.
Yeah, I had coworkers over yesterday from WFAN. So anybody who has any football gatherings or whatever, I have a backyard set up, a couple TVs. It's good. It's the one thing that I feel like I do well. I will say, Pat, we had a coworker. I'm not going to name names. You and the audience can attest to this. If you ever have coworkers at your house, spent the majority of the time not outside with everybody, but inside on my couch petting my 2 dogs and talking to them. Your thoughts?
Paul Rosenberg, wasn't it? It's the most layup of a question that I've ever been asked. You want inside talking to the dogs and, Oh, I'm an introvert. I like dogs better than people. That's our
Yeah,
friend Paul.
you got 30 people basically fist fighting as Freeman doesn't get it on fourth down, and he's inside talking to a pot kink. Okay, so anyway, that was my day yesterday. And I'm eating cold chicken tenders and sucking down green tea and trying to find my my ability to will myself back to life here today. All right, we were talking and giving our top five college football, the best performances, and I kind of teed this up. I'm going to watch a lot of quarterback play like I did a year ago because I root for an NFL team that in theory is going to be looking for a quarterback. Thank you, baby. I've gotten fake ice cream delivered to me on the show here. Very good. Okay. Quarterbacks, Quinn Ewers, Carson Beck, and Shador Sanders. I think we can all agree as it stands right now. Okay. Can you? Daddy's not a baby. Why don't we? Daddy's, broadcasting to millions of people right now. Why don't we go bother your mother? Okay. Pat, just talk for a second.
Sure, no problem. No problem, Shawnee. I know Shawnee wants to talk about his quarterbacks because, again, I just want to reset this conversation for the thousands of people watching and listening at home, Shawnee, that you were going to talk about some quarterbacks for the New York Giants, a team, by the way, that you said Malik Neighbors is going to be the best receiver in the organization's history, and rookie tight end Theo Johnson could be the next Travis Kelce. But yet you still think somehow that, and then you think Daniel Jones is going to be, good, not great, but good this year.
Mid.
And yet,
Mid.
you still think that the Giants are going to win 7 games and they will be looking for a new quarterback somehow.
Yeah, because ultimately Daniel Jones never stays healthy. So it still comes back to the health. It doesn't come back to the ability or anything like that. And I think no matter what, best case scenario, the New York Giants this year are the Kansas City Chiefs with Alex Smith, where they contend, wild card, maybe they win a playoff game or whatever, drafting somewhere high teens, low 20s, and ultimately they trade up. And I think they will have trade partners this year, specifically New England, who seems to have found it with Drake May, somebody at the top. But anyway, I say that to say all these college football games, on any of the games with the big quarterbacks, I couldn't get enough of Colorado with Shador Sanders. Obviously, I was locked into Carson Beck yesterday, and that's why he's going to fall on number 2 of my list. I got to be honest, that first half I sat there going, oh, man, Clemson's defense is really figuring this out in the wood. Beck woke up in that second half, and he looked like an NFL quarterback to me. I'm not telling you he'd be number 1 if I was cherry picking. I kind of think that Shador Sanders right now is number 1, and I feel like that's like a really weird thing to say because everybody just assumes that Deion's going to dictate where he goes, and I feel like we don't know what to think about Shador Sanders because of that, because his dad's the head coach, and it feels like it's hanging over the head of this whole thing. But I think Shador Sanders impressed me the most. Quinn Ewers is just a machine. But Carson Beck, I think, deserves to be number 2 because that could have been teetering on a really, really bad start to the year for a guy who has big first-round aspirations. And he ultimately delivered with a couple of touchdown passes and moved the ball nicely down the field. Where are you at with number 2?
Number 2, well, I almost took one in the break. Number 2, where I'm at, is the Penn State Nittany Lions. Again, I don't think that. And by the way, Amir Tyree, our producer, gave us the most bet games, most bet tickets yesterday. Clemson, Georgia, Penn State, West Virginia, Notre Dame A&M, the 3 most bet games. The 3 most bet teams: Georgia, side we were on; Notre Dame, side we were on; West Virginia, number 2, plus 7.5 at BetMGM. And most bet teams in terms of the handle, in terms of the actual money being tossed around: Georgia, number 1, West Virginia, number 2, Miami, number 3. So you and plenty of other people were on the Mountaineers, and I don't blame you. That was a game that I stayed away from because ultimately I wanted to bet West Virginia. I didn't know if I could trust them. I'm not blowing my own horn here because there's plenty of games that I was like, I feel really good about this and are wrong. But Neil Brown and what West Virginia did last year, kind of surprising people. It felt like he was going to get fired at the end of last year. He was on the chopping block. They end up winning, 9 games with a bowl game win. So they played pretty well, and they're at home. And we know Morgantown's not an easy place to play in. And we kind of make James Franklin like a circus clown, right? With how much we make fun of him. He can't beat Ohio State. He'll never beat Michigan. But now this year we said, hey, all the pressure's on James Franklin. All the pressure's on Penn State. They go 10-2. There's a good chance they make the college football playoff here. And this was the big first test for them on the road. And after a really quiet, kind of sloppy first quarter, they turned it on, man. So I would say both Penn State and their quarterback, Drew Aller, number 2 in terms of team/players I was most impressed with over the weekend here, and especially yesterday. I mean, dude, some of those back shoulder throws that Drew Aller was making, unbelievable. This kid has definitely taken a step up, and West Virginia's defense is not a sieve, right? I mean, it's not a great defense, but it's not a sieve, and this guy was putting the ball on a freaking dime, dropping it in a bucket. He goes 11 of 17, 216 yards, 3 touchdowns. The running back, Nicholas Singleton, put on a show. He had a big 40-yard gain and basically ran for 4 or 5 yards a carry even outside of that. Harrison Wallace, the receiver, $117 and 2 tuds. So Penn State took care of business, man. And I'm not saying that I'm buying into them, actually doing any damage this year, but look, if you didn't get Penn State to make the college football playoff before the season, I'm afraid you have lost all value on that now because their schedule is very, very soft until they play USC on the road. And again, even if they lose that and they lose to Ohio State, I'm going to be honest, I don't see them losing any other game. I don't see them slipping up on the road at Wisconsin. I don't see them slipping up on the road at Purdue. I think Penn State goes 10-2 at worst, and they're in the college football playoff. And yeah, and again, ultimately, are they going to beat Ohio State? Probably not. Are they going to get out of the first round of the college football playoff? Probably not. But, again, first weekend, who impressed? Penn State, right up there at the top for me.
Yeah, I didn't have them on the list, and honestly, I should. That was tremendous. They every time West Virginia knocked on the door, they would shut it down. The defense was great. And again, a wild crowd, not an easy spot to play in. Number 1 for me, I just kind of hit it on with Carson Beck. But look, it seems very cliche. You're the number 1 team in the country. You're the team who is the betting favorite to be the national champion. You're the Georgia Bulldogs, and you go out versus a well-coached team in Dabo Swinney, and you thunderclap them. It's just, I know that the SEC schedule is going to be way more treacherous than what Clemson is or has become. But they didn't start the year with Western Kentucky or Western Carolina or Western your sister's ass A&M. I mean, they didn't do any of that. They started the year with Clemson, have a big-time quarterback, have a big-time defense, and just walloped the Clemson Tigers. So I think it's a big-time spot, and I think Georgia absolutely is the team I came away most impressed with and I think had the best performance of yesterday.
Yeah, for me, I mean, who else? Who else would it be? As Shawnee's daughters are in the picture here, they're saying hello to everybody. Peyton, is that Peyton putting on the headset, one of the earbuds here, or is that Taylor?
Taylor's put on the earpiece. She could sit here. Yeah.
Hi, Taylor. How are you doing? Taylor, did you see the performance that the Notre Dame Fighting Irish put together?
No.
No, she went to bed around Notre Dame time.
Okay,
definitely.
That's fine. So I will make sure that for Taylor and Peyton and anybody else that might have missed this game last night, Notre Dame did not play great, and they still went on the road and beat A&M. Again, 3-point dogs too. Spread kept moving in A&M's favor. But it's classic Notre Dame. They can't beat a great team on the road. Marcus Freeman's not a good coach. Again, I still got reservations about Marcus Freeman. I still got reservations about the coaching staff and the very conservative offensive play calling that needs to be more aggressive like they did in the second half. They went for it twice on 4th down. I think that was the opening drive of the second half. They get screwed on that spot where Riley Leonard is over the first down marker by like 1.5 yards. But they weren't at their best offensively, and they still won by double digits on the road. This defense is unreal. This defense is legit. They are going to be a massive problem. And when Notre Dame plays Florida State later in the year, when they play USC, and then when they get to the college football playoff, whoever they play in the quarterfinal and whoever they play in the semifinal, their defense is going to keep them in every big game they play this year. And I do trust that Riley Leonard's going to turn it on and that Marcus Freeman will find the game plan and will find his coaching gills by the end of this year. But, man, I knew this defense was going to be good. They were unbelievable. I mean, Connor Wegman, that looked like a JV quarterback that they went up against last night. And he's not that bad. 12 of 30 for 100 yards and 2 picks. Xavier Watts, Benjamin Morrison, those guys are playing on Sunday next year. The Irish, they impressed me, and I'm a Notre Dame homer. So that's I'm being honest with you.
Of course, Notre Dame is just play. We got more hot takes and hot cakes back. Girls, let them know what we're going to do.
We'll be right back.
Yes, we will. BetQL's 5-Star Weekend.
BetQL 5-Star Weekend will be back on the BetQL Network. Presented by BetMGM, the sports book born in Vegas.
And get ready to send it in on weekday afternoons at 1 Eastern on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM.
Baseball is winning on the BetQL network with Bet for the Cycle featuring Cody Decker.
Cody Decker, former professional baseball player, turned professional smartass on the radio.
And handicapper Rob Brown.
Couldn't hit a baseball off a high school pitcher. That's why I played soccer.
Double plays, props, and parlays.
Not only Blue Jays run line here, Cody, I might tease it up to an alternate run line of -2.5.
Join the chaos every Saturday from noon to 4 Eastern.
Can you explain to me how these are the same odds? Can someone please explain to me how these are the same odds?
Exactly what I was
I've
gonna
looked at this
say.
over and over and over again.
On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL network, presented by BetMGM.
Are you ready for the most interactive sports gambling show? Introducing BetQL's Send It In with PJ Glasser. We want to hear from you. Send It In is about your picks, your trends, and your fades. Share your thoughts, predictions, and your daily best bets with the Send It In community. Set your reminders, mark your calendars, and get ready to send it in on weekday afternoons at 1 Eastern on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL network, presented by BetMGM.
Baseball is winning on the BetQL network with Bet for the Cycle featuring Cody Decker.
Cody Decker, former professional baseball player, turned professional smartass on the radio.
And handicapper Rob Brown.
Couldn't hit a baseball off a high school pitcher. That's why I played soccer.
Double plays, props, and parlays.
Not only Blue Jays run line here, Cody, I might tease it up to an alternate run line of -2.5.
Join the chaos every Saturday from noon to 4 Eastern.
Can you explain to me how these are the same odds? Can someone please explain to me how these are the same odds?
Exactly what I was
I've
gonna
looked at this
say.
over and over and over again.
On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL network, presented by BetMGM.
Are you ready for the most interactive sports gambling show? Introducing BetQL's Send It In with PJ Glasser. We want to hear from you. Send It In is about your picks, your trends, and your fades. Share your thoughts, predictions, and your daily best bets with the Send It In community. Set your reminders, mark your calendars, and get ready to send it in on weekday afternoons at 1 Eastern on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL network, presented by BetMGM.
Baseball is winning on the BetQL network with Bet for the Cycle featuring Cody Decker.
Cody Decker, former professional baseball player, turned professional smartass on the radio.
And handicapper Rob Brown.
Couldn't hit a baseball off a high school pitcher. That's why I played soccer.
Double plays, props, and parlays.
Not only Blue Jays run line here, Cody, I might tease it up to an alternate run line of -2.5.
Join the chaos every Saturday from noon to 4 Eastern.
Can you explain to me how these are the same odds? Can someone please explain to me how these are the same odds?
Exactly what I was
I've
gonna
looked at
say.
this over and over and over again.
On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM.
Are you ready for the most interactive sports gambling show? Introducing BetQL Send It In with PJ.
Now, with Sean Marash
I will punch you in your stupid face, and I hate the Knicks. I hate their fans.
and Pat Boyle.
That's probably why I'm not a GM in the NFL. But if I was, I would probably take a huge swing on Michael Penix.
Turning your faith into fortune.
Few things in the gambling world I can't wait to bet more than the Jets under right now.
While serving up hot takes and hot takes.
If Chet Holmgren was on that team, he's probably putting up better numbers than Wemby.
It's BetQL 5-Star Weekend, presented by BetMGM.
Shawnee's on mute. Hour number 2. Here we go.
So you heard none of what I was saying in the break. It's BetQL's 5-Star Weekend presented by BetMGM. Sean Morash, Pat Boyle. Our last ride. It's been a fun one. Doing the show with Chris Mack the last couple of years, having Pat Boyle come up here. I'll never forget the phone call I got in about January, I think, from Andrew Williams, our wonderful program director. Do you know this Peter Doyle that works up in New York by chance? I said, Peter Doyle.
Stop.
And we
Are you kidding
we
me?
narrowed it down and we got to Patty Boyle. I said, of course I know Patty Boyle. Let's make it happen. So Pat and me wrote it out. We had a fun year. He somehow has one more beef bet he's going to give us, and we wonder what that will be. We'll get that coming up in about an hour and 40 minutes. Sunday Scary still to come.
What's your problem
Dingbat,
with
40 minutes.
the beef bet? What's your problem with Boyle's
not all-
beef bet? It's great. It's a
Not
great
all bits are
concept.
good. Not all bits are good. The bit stinks, and it's okay. We'll work on it.
No, it doesn't. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You made a thing around the Knicks run, and you basically wanted to bet against everybody the Knicks hated in the Knicks season, and then you went, oh my God, how am I going to have beef with anybody going forward? And you've
No, I didn't.
manufactured a product
It wasn't
for the
a-
audience. A
it
good
was-
job. Good job
Not
manufacturing.
Not manufactured, and it wasn't around the Knicks. How many times do you bet on or against a team simply because you lost money on them, you were spited by them, or like you said, natural bias? I know I know again we want to bet with our brain and not with our heart all the time, but how many times do you bet against one of the teams that you hate, against one of your favorite teams, rivals, even when they're not playing them? And then how many times do you bet against your own favorite team? I don't know about you. I do it sometimes. I do it sometimes when the Knicks go through a stretch. I'm like, what the hell is this team doing? I'm like, you know what? Their head's not right now. They're on a back-to-back 3-4. They're on the road. This is a giveaway game. Now the Knicks are not a team that are like that anymore. Years past before Tom Thibodeau, absolutely were. So come on, you're telling me you never bet games with your heart, out of spite, with anger, with emotion? That's the whole concept of the segment. Come on.
What a concept, Pat. We'll pat yourself on the back. You didn't have to take the bait either. I was just trying to troll you here to close out the show. I mean,
Yeah, but it's every
jeez.
week. It's every week. It's every week. It's our last show. So if everybody out there saying, "Oh wow, Sean's making fun of the boiled beefcake bet, patty cake bet yet again," it stinks, right? It's manufactured. It's
so
not
that stuck with
manufactured.
you.
Why don't you shove it?
That stuck with you, huh? All right. Well, anywho, we have our second to last hot takes and hot cakes. So let's go.
Good morning, people. Boy, do I need some hot takes and hot cakes. Pat Boyle and Sean Marash, give it to them.
I'd love to give you Pat's, but he didn't write it in there, so I'm going to start it off here with hour number 2. I don't care how hot takey this is at all. I've taken the jokes. I've taken the brunt. I had one massive concern for my beloved New York Football Giants, and it wasn't the lazy narrative about the quarterback, because everybody, of course, forgets that the quarterback, when healthy, had no problem taking this team and winning a playoff game just 2 years ago. No, that's a lazy narrative, the quarterback. It was how thin they were in the secondary, the New York Giants, and I told everybody here on this show, boy, I don't know how you trust it without a second cornerback. And then the Giants brought Adoree home, a veteran who just wanted to miss all of training camp, and Adoree Jackson, who was good enough over the last 3 years to be a number one corner on some decent defenses for the Giants, is back in the fold. And I'm here to tell you, with that weakness extremely sewn up, I'm stunned that Joe Shane and Brian Dable didn't have the stubbornness for a guy who at the end of the year felt like Adoree was making business decisions on tackles. Now that he knows he's playing really for a contract here, he saw what it was like out there. The Giants have just solved their biggest weakness. The New York Giants over 6.5 is without a shadow of a doubt the biggest lock over-under number that you could play ahead of the 2024 NFL season. This team that last year had everything go wrong and yet still won 6 football games. This team. In those other losses, a terrible 13 seconds left loss to the Jets, a terrible non-pass interference called on Darren Waller at the end of the Bills game on Sunday Night Football. Mason Crosby, their third kicker of the year, misses a field goal at the gun to almost beat the Rams. Any of those things go right, they're over a 6.5 last year. All 3 go right, and they're in back-to-back 9-win years. This is the best Giants roster we have seen in maybe a decade. Headlined by Malik Neighbors as a stud number 1 wide receiver, the first one they've had since Odell. The Giants' numbers at 6.5, and some of you have the gall to think they're going under and going to be one of the worst teams in football. Folks, they're going to be right there with the rest of the league, in the middle. I'm not telling you they're going to go win 11, 12 games. Over 6.5, you could put that in your pipe. You could bet it. And guess what? If you want a nice little pot of rainbow, some money to bet on the Super Bowl, the playoffs, take that over 6.5. It's the easiest layup you will find on an NFL board this year, especially now that Adoree Jackson was signed this weekend. Patty, how are you?
Adoree Jackson, a corner that is so sought after that he was a free agent on August 29th.
You see it you know what, Pat? Pat, frankly, F off. Because I hear this, anybody who wants to poo-poo this, every single year, veterans are on the street that miss camp at the end who over think their market value. The NFL free agency window is basically 2 ways. Either you sign in those first 48, 72 hours as a big name, and if you don't, you're likely going to be sitting there rotting as teams figure it out. Once you figure it out, then you get a job. Stephon Gilmore signed a week ago with the Vikings. Did anybody say, oh my God, the Vikings, how could you do that? He was on the street still. So stupid.
And he's not good anymore.
Single year. Dude, you don't have to be great. But Adoree Jackson is a good corner. A good corner that wasn't going to sign anywhere until he saw the best opportunity for him, got it. Here we go. And now the New York Giants are going over 6.5. It's a lock. And look, poo-poo it, don't bet it. You know what, Pat? Just continue to give out tennis losers. I'm giving you a flat-out winner here. The Giants are going over 6.5. You do with what you will. I can't make you do what you want to do with your money.
Adoree Jackson in this Giants secondary is like putting a Band-Aid on a wide-open gash. You know, he's not bad. He's a decent corner. He doesn't take – Adoree Jackson is the reason now that you feel so confident betting the Giants over 6.5.
Yeah, that's how thin they were.
Yes,
that's how thin they were at corner. They needed to make a move like this. They did. I got to tell you. You know what? No, it's going to embarrass me, but I don't care. My pants became tent-like when I saw they signed Adoree Jackson because I had been so down in the dumps about this Giant year, about their cornerback situation, and I'm full-throned, horned up that this Giant team has a real chance to make the playoffs now. That's how all in I am. And dare I say, I'm very close to saying if he's healthy, Daniel Jones could be an MVP contender this year. I won't say because people go nuts.
Oh,
go crazy.
my God.
But he's never had an offensive line like this. And he's never, ever had a number 1 receiver like this. He won't be as good as Mahomes. That's why he won't really get in the conversation. But there will be a week in mid-October we look up and go, is he kind of creeping in the conversation here? Now, ultimately, it won't matter. It won't fall. They might do the injury guarantee at the end. But, no, like the Giants are going to be spunky this year.
Yeah, as our pal Kenny Gunnar Henderson just put in our chat, the liquor hasn't left the system yet, Sean, because that is one of the wildest things I've ever heard. Daniel Jones is going to be in the MVP conversation. Now, look, I have beaten
mid-October.
Against
I'm not telling you he's going to win it.
Right. Okay. I have beaten back against a lot of Daniel Jones haters on our local station, WFAN in New York, for years now. For years. Since I started doing shows in 2021. So basically the entire 3 years that I've been doing shows, I have been defending Daniel Jones a lot against Daniel Jones haters. I say, hey, his offensive line's always been horrible. You act like he's got, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line for Tom Brady a couple of years ago in front of him. He's got an all-pro caliber left tackle in Andrew Thomas, and after that, what? What, because they signed John
Jermaine Illuminor is going to be a very good right tackle. John
Right, I'm sure. And then when he gets – and then every year the Giants' offensive line – and then every year the Giants' offensive line, they're bringing guys off the couch by week 5, right? I mean, how can you trust –
Not this year. They got a good coach. Carmen Brasillo, new offensive line coach.
how can you trust in something that hasn't delivered? They gave up 85 sacks last year. Like, what is the improvement? They give up 50 sacks this year. They're still going to be horrible.
They're gonna be top 15 O-line this year for sure. And as Daniels was his number one receiver to this date has been Golden Tate. He's never had a player like Malik Neighbors. This is going to be a completely different feel, a completely different offense. Again, I'm not telling you he's going to win the MVP. He won't even finish top 5, but we will have a point in time mid-October. We go, wow, this guy is really cooking. They're going to get off to a 2-0 start. I feel bad for the Viking fan in week 1, all revved up here. They're screwed. I feel bad, obviously, for the Commander fan. They'll figure it out as the year goes on. They are sleeper sneaky. Giants going to be 2-0 heading in that game versus Cleveland, and let's see what happens in week 3.
I don't even want to yell at you. I don't even want to argue with you because I feel bad for you. I feel bad that
I feel bad for you.
Yourself,
I feel bad for you.
You've convinced yourself this much here that now we're a week away from football. A week
Dory
away from
Jackson
kickoff, Giants, Vikings.
Everything.
And Dory Jackson has now taken the Giants from a team that maybe they win 6 or 7 games to now they are going, this is the easiest bet. And now Daniel Jones is going to be in the MVP conversation in October. I mean,
listen to me.
Come on.
Listen to me. Nobody follows this team more closely than me. I don't sit there and watch Red Zone. I know that. I pine through the tape. I think people seriously doubt it. I was transparent about this. This is why I was down on him. How thin they were at corner. This is the perfect. You could not find a more perfect resolution to a team's issue than what the New York Giants just did with Adoree Jackson. And their number is at 6.5, where they won 6 games last year, and the roster is 30 times better. Are you kidding me? Lock it up. Over.
Now, mind you, 2020, Adoree Jackson was hurt for basically the entire year with Tennessee. First season with the Giants, missed 4 games in a row. Yeah. Played 13 games. 2022, basically missed the entire back half of the schedule, came back for that playoff run, was pretty good, and he was great in the first half of that season. And then last year misses another 3 games. I mean, you're banking on Adoree Jackson basically trying to play the whole season, and he hasn't done that, since like his rookie season. So
19 months ago, Adoree Jackson held Justin Jefferson when covering him to 3 catches for 37 yards in a playoff.
I remember it, and that's again, things can change rapidly. Things can change pretty fast here in the NFL. So I just want to remind you of that here. And again, this is like putting a Band-Aid on a wide open gash here. Adoree Jackson is not taking the Giants all of a sudden to a playoff team. So. But look, I appreciate you getting all fired up for your favorite team here and being a homer. You like to make fun of me for being that with Notre Dame, but man, it's an incredible take. Daniel Jones will be in the MVP conversation come mid-October. Really quickly for me, Shawnee, I do have a tennis bet for you. Looking at the slate today, 4th round begins for the men and women, round of 16. Got a good one, and I did put a futures ticket on Alexander Zverev plus 800. And to win his quarter, which I gave out last week on BetQL, plus 120. So he's got to win 2 more matches, and that will cash. I think he hasn't been great, though. And I think he's in maybe a little bit of trouble here today going up against American Brandon Nakashima. So I'm going with the over. I'm taking the over here on this one. 37.5 at minus 125 on BetMGM. I think 38.5 is plus money. It's plus 100 if you want to take that. I'll lay the slight juice on this one. Nakashima has been serving great. The kid has been playing with a ton of confidence. Now, he was hurt for most of last year, and he dropped out of the top 100 in the rankings. He's been on fire, since the North American hard court swing began after the grass season. He's been really, really, really good. And, the only 3 losses he's had here in the last month are to Ben Shelton, who just lost to Tiafoe, the big American lefty kid who's in the top 15, and 2 losses to Andrei Rublev, who's number 6 in the world. So he's had some really good wins, and Zverev has not looked that great. Dropped a set to Martyr, who's ranked 100, dropped a set to Echeverry, who's a good player, but still was in trouble for the first half of that match. And on top of it, the 2 times these guys played each other, they played each other in the COVID U.S. Open back in September of 2020 when Nakashima was, basically a rookie, if you will. And it went 4 sets, and that match was 25-30. That was 41 games. And then they played each other at the French Open on clay, where Zverev, he's incredible on clay. Nakashima's not great, and they still played 2 tie breaks in that match, and they played, 35 games. So if Nakashima grabs a set here, this over's hitting, and these guys play tie breaks. They've played at least a tie break every time they've played each other. So the courts are playing pretty fast. Nakashima's serving well. Honestly, I'd be stunned if this goes under, unless he's hurt. And, again, with tennis, that's something you always got to look for. All of a sudden, the guy shows up to the match, and he's got a big strapping on his hamstring or whatever. Nakashima looks good, man, and he's serving really, really well. So I think Zverev's going to have a tough time breaking him, as he has the first 2 times they've played each other, which were 2 and 4 years ago. So over 37.5 Brandon Nakashima, Alex Zverev at the U.S. Open today.
Okay, I like it. And we got plenty of college football still to come. Yesterday was an, up and down day. You won some, you lost some, closing with a thrilling Notre Dame victory in College Station. And, of course, tonight, LSU, Brian Kelly, an enormous year, taking on Lincoln Riley and USC. And, of course, tomorrow night, we close it out on a Labor Day night. What will the Florida State Seminoles look like versus a Bill O'Brien coach Boston College team? We'll recap yesterday, look ahead of what's still to come. Colin Sherwin, the sports editor, DraftKings Nation, will join Pat and myself as we continue to break down week 1 of the college football schedule. Boy, it just feels different, doesn't it? Well, we've talked about baseball, basketball, all the bets that we love, the tennis. There's different juice in the air when football's here and money's flying around. It's BetQL's 5-star weekend presented by BetMGM. As I mentioned, Colin will join us next, and we'll look ahead to tonight's LSU and USC game. We will be right back.
BetQL 5-star weekend will be back on the BetQL network. Presented by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas.
Glasser, we want to hear from you. Send It In is about your picks, your trends, and your fades. Share your thoughts, predictions, and your best daily best bets with the Send It In community. Set your reminders, mark your calendars, and get ready to send it in on weekday afternoons at 1 Eastern on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL network, presented by BetMGM.
How's that? A little better?
Baseball is winning on the BetQL network with Bet for the Cycle featuring Cody Decker.
Cody Decker, former professional baseball player, turned professional smartass on the radio.
And handicapper Rob Brown.
Couldn't hit a baseball off a high school pitcher. That's why I played soccer.
Double plays, props, and parlays.
Not only Blue Jays run line here, Cody, I might tease it up to an alternate run line of -2.5.
Join the chaos every Saturday from noon to 4 Eastern.
Can you explain to me how these are the same odds? Can someone please explain to me how these are the same odds?
Exactly what I was
I've looked at this over and over and over again.
On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL network, presented by BetMGM.
Are you ready for the most interactive sports gambling show? Introducing BetQL's Send It In with PJ Glasser. We want to hear from you. Send It In is about your picks, your trends, and your fades. Share your thoughts, predictions, and your best daily best bets with the Send It In community. Set your reminders, mark your calendars, and get ready to send it in on weekday afternoons at 1 Eastern on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL network, presented by BetMGM.
Baseball is winning on the BetQL network with Bet for the Cycle featuring Cody Decker.
Cody Decker, former professional baseball player, turned professional smartass on the radio.
And handicapper Rob Brown.
Couldn't hit a baseball off a high school pitcher. That's why I played soccer.
Double plays, props, and parlays.
Not only Blue Jays run line here, Cody, I might tease it up to an alternate run line of -2.5.
Join the chaos every Saturday from noon to 4 Eastern.
Can you explain to me how these are the same odds? Can someone please explain to me how these are the same odds?
Exactly what I was
I've looked at this over and over and over again.
On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL network, presented by BetMGM.
Are you ready for the most interactive sports gambling show? Introducing BetQL's Send It In with PJ Glasser. We want to hear from you. Send It In is about your picks, your trends, and your fades. Share your thoughts, predictions, and your best daily best bets with the Send It In community. Set your reminders, mark your calendars, and get ready to send it in on weekday afternoons at 1 Eastern on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM.
Baseball is winning on the BetQL network with Bet for the Cycle featuring Cody Decker.
Cody Decker, former professional baseball player, turned professional smartass on the radio.
And handicapper Rob Brown.
Couldn't hit a baseball off a high school pitcher. That's why I played soccer.
Double plays, props.
I might tease it up to an alternate run line of -2.5.
Join the chaos. The BetQL 5-Star Weekend on the BetQL Network. Presented by BetMGM. The sportsbook born in Vegas. Download the app today.
Morash, Pat Boyle here. BetQL's 5-Star Weekend presented by BetMGM. The first college football Saturday, the true first college football Saturday is in the books. As we mentioned, still 2 games in the traditional Labor Day weekend wraparound to get to, including a big one tonight. USC and LSU. Joining us now to break it all down. Where did the money go? Where will the money end up? Colin Sherwin, college sports editor, DraftKings Network. You can follow him on Twitter, X, at Colin Sherwin, 2 L's in Colin. So we hope he didn't suffer too many L's yesterday. Colin, what's up, bro?
Good morning. I actually poked my head into a college football game yesterday. I went to the South Florida Bethune-Cookman game and came back here and watched a lot of football. Best day of the year. That first Saturday when it all just hit you like a wall. It's nothing better. It's the best day.
Oh, it was great. Yeah, me and Pat have been going back and forth. Had a bunch of people over yesterday to do like kind of an annual start the football season thing. And there's just that there was a moment in electricity, especially at night during the Notre Dame A&M game, which we'll get to in a second, where my buddy's turned to me and goes, you just can't replicate this with baseball over the summer. You just got everybody's just yelling and living and dying with every play. So you mentioned obviously the full slate yesterday. First Saturday's great. What surprised you the most? Either, player, odd, team. What was your big overall surprise from week 1, Colin?
I think the hype on Oregon definitely, I started to buy in a little bit. I thought maybe I'm underselling Oregon a little bit. Maybe they're not quite as good as, or maybe they are actually a little better than I thought. And I think yesterday what we saw is that team still has some problems and some things that they're going to need to get through. Idaho played well, but Dylan Gabriel just did not seem to be clicking the way that we thought. And especially what I think surprised me was the other side of the ball. Giving up chunk plays to an FCS team when you are projected to be one of the Final 4 teams in the country. And a lot of people are taking a look at you to win the Big Ten in your first season. I thought that was a real surprise yesterday. Some smaller ones, there was a lot of, quote, sharp money on Wyoming yesterday, who got blown out 48-7.
Yeah.
At an Arizona State team that is dealing with probation issues. I think that was a real surprise. When the misses happened yesterday, and I had a miss too. I had a miss in the Houston game. I thought UNLV would struggle, considering when you have 3 quarterbacks, you don't really have 1 quarterback. I thought that they would be in a little bit of trouble at Houston, and then Houston, just with Donovan Smith, is clearly not prepared to be a P4 quarterback at any level. They were terrible yesterday. They gave up, and they were also giving up chunk plays as well. So yeah, when you miss really wide. Now the question becomes today, when we start getting some lines, is are these lines going to adjust appropriately for that week 1 to week 2 bounce? I usually find that the books under adjust from what we see on our eyes from week 1 to week 2. So teams that I would be on in Arizona State. I would be on a UNLV, but I would be definitely fading a Houston after what I saw yesterday, I don't think the books are going to be able to account for that because it was so dramatically behind what the projections were.
Mm.
Colin, I want to, we can get to the big boys, the SEC, the Big Ten here, what we saw from week one, but I think the conference that was up for grabs before the season, certainly up for grabs now, the ACC. Florida State lays that egg last week. They play Boston College tomorrow night. North Carolina State struggling with Western Carolina for most of the game. Clemson getting their doors blown off by Georgia here. And in Miami, they were the biggest winners of all this weekend. They go out and crush Florida in the swamp. I don't know if that's if you're impressed with Miami. You have to be impressed with Miami, but also, Billy Napier. Come on, this guy's been on the hot seat for basically 3 years now. Your overall takeaways here with the ACC? Are you looking at, if you're looking to place a futures bet on this conference, or if you want to just talk about any teams that you have focused on here in the ACC? Where would you go with this conference? Because it certainly, like I said, it was up for grabs going into the season. It is up for grabs here.
So I'm going to have questions about Miami's ability to maintain this. I think we've seen with Mario Cristobal, who has won conference championships at Oregon, and he won at FIU as well. He got fired after he went to a bowl game, won the conference, and got fired the next season at FIU. So he's shown that he can sustain and win. He hasn't shown that they can be extremely consistent over a long haul. There's going to be a Miami blip game. It's absolutely coming. This is not a team that's going to be able to run out in the ACC or anything like that. That conference, I think, now you talk about that Western Carolina NC State game. I had Western Carolina. Western Carolina was an extremely undersold FCS team. They're actually pretty good. They can move the ball. They're extremely efficient on offense. The only reason they lost that game, they can't tackle anybody. But that's going to happen when you're playing an FCS team. I would still be on NC State. I think they're going to be fine in the long run. They just picked off a team that you don't really want to be playing in a week one situation. They're going to be pretty good. But yeah, we talk about Florida. Look, I'm based here in Tampa, so we have two sports here. It's football and spring practice. And for me, excuse me, you talk to alums from Florida State, Miami. Florida State fans still feel like they're going to be okay. They feel okay with the direction of the program. They think it just couldn't quite get it together. DJU. Let's just call him DJU because it's early on. I haven't coffee yet. No, who's going to pronounce that? He is. I thought he was a bad choice for that program. I would not be surprised if they went to a 4-star that's behind him at some point this season. I think we've seen at 3 schools. This is just not a kid who can win big games. He just doesn't have that. I don't know if it's a quickness thing, a reactions thing. But his accuracy isn't great. He doesn't move as well in the pocket as you can see flashes, but he doesn't consistently move as well. So until Florida State makes a quarterback change, I think they're going to struggle a little bit. But yes, the ACC, it remains wide open. Notre Dame certainly impressed last night in one of the toughest places to play in all of college football. I think Riley Leonard is a great fit for them, not only because he's seen all of these teams in this league once already, and he'll kind of have a pretty good sense of what that is. But also, he's a veteran quarterback who's won big games and has been there over and over again. And Notre Dame seems to have the pieces everywhere else. What I really loved about that last night was the aggression that they showed, going for it on, I believe it was 4th and 5 on their own 38, and they're just going for it anyway. They're playing the math. It seems like Marcus is going to really be aggressive this season, and I think that in the long run adds up to them being good. This is a league I don't want to touch, though. I think Miami on talent and showed yesterday that they are the best team. But I also don't trust this Miami team for 14 weeks. That's for sure.
No doubt about it. The other night, obviously, Shedeur Sanders puts on a little bit of a show, but there is obviously North Dakota hanging around, and that was a game that I think a lot of us, if you wanted to lean sharp side, it felt like, fade Colorado a little bit here. You mentioned at the top there, Colin, about, the books accounting. Colorado feels like it's just going to be bet on in swarms on a week-to-week basis because it's the sexy thing to do for casuals. How do you think the books adjust? And do you think Colorado and kind of fading them game to game, including this week coming up versus Nebraska, is an opportunity to make a lot of money here?
I had Nebraska yesterday minus 27.5 and covered easily. I also had North Dakota State this week and covered, pretty comfortably, even though a couple of bad calls down the stretch. I think ND State certainly got the short end of the stick from the refs on that one, but it's still a cover. I'm with you. Colorado, what I think we saw last year was that opening Colorado TCU game, the books just got absolutely crushed. There was so much public money on Colorado, and that game was doing an almost NFL level of handle as well. But what happened by the time that Oregon game, when they played Oregon last year, in Eugene, and just got got their doors blown off. That was where it started to tilt back. I still think the books are going to lay an extra, somewhere between a point and 2 points in some spot just to balance a little bit. But if you're a sharp book, just hang the right number, because I think Colorado is going to fall short here. What we saw is that maybe the top 2 picks in the NFL draft are on the same team, but they got no help. You know what I mean? Travis Hunter is just incredible. Shador is, whatever you think about his father, whatever you think about that team or whatever, the kid stands in there, takes hits, and delivers accurate balls. He is the real deal. So with those 2 guys, they're always going to have an ability to make play. Even if you double, Travis is going to be able to make something happen. And then they've got guys like Jimmy Horn Jr. as well. The leading receiver in that game was not Travis Hunter. It was Jimmy Horn Jr., who I think had 192 for like 8 catches, because he's able to get single coverage because of all the coverage rotating to Travis Hunter. They're going to be able to make plays. They can't stop anybody. And I don't know if they can consistently get, if that offensive line can hold up against bigger teams. Nebraska's going to hit him in the mouth. I don't know what that number is going to open at, but most likely I will be on Nebraska. I think I had Nebraska higher than most of the preseason ratings anyway. I had Colorado lower than most of the preseason ratings anyway. And I think this week didn't do enough to change that, where the line's going to be in a spot where I'm not going to take Nebraska.
Colin Sherwin, college sports editor, DraftKings Nation, here with us for a couple of more minutes. I like the Huskers as well. Colin, Dylan Raiola, that 140-yard bullet he threw down the line, down the sideline was phenomenal. I love the kid. I'm kind of buying back into Matt Rule after years of what feels like he's been knocked down a couple of pegs here. I do want to ask you about the big boys, and in terms of, you can either take this in just an SEC general direction, if you will, or the Heisman futures market, if you will, here, because basically every big quarterback and every big team in the SEC delivered over the weekend, right? Florida A&M, the only losers. Everybody else in the SEC won. And on top of that, most of them absolutely, beat the brakes off of their cupcake opponents that they played. Oregon, Dylan Gabriel, the Heisman favorite, he struggled, but Jalen Milroe looked fantastic, destroying Western Kentucky. Jackson Dart put on a show as Ole Miss, blew the doors off of Furman. Quinn Ewers looked really good. Texas wins in a rout as well. And Carson Beck, looked really, really good in that second half for Georgia against that Clemson defense. Those 4 quarterbacks, in terms of their Heisman markets, is there any one of those guys that you would be willing to put some money on in terms of to win the Heisman after what you saw week 1, where now as the Dylan Gabriel odds are probably going to get a little bit bigger and the rest of the guys are going to be a lot closer to him? Or are you not, looking to put your money in the Heisman futures market and instead, possibly which team in the SEC you think wins the conference or has a chance to win the Natty?
So Georgia, I think, is far and away the best team. I think we're looking at a 2.5 horse race this year in college football, and I think it's Georgia and Ohio State, and maybe an Oregon can get it together. Maybe a Texas could be something, but I think we have a 2-team split this year, in that I think Georgia and Ohio State, just on talent, on coaching, on depth, and the depth there is just unbelievable on both sides, for both teams on both sides of the ball. So I'm probably going to be on Georgia. As far as the Heisman race goes, let's face it, Jalen Milroe is going to take a huge step back this week when he loses to South Florida, as the South Florida Bulls are heading into Tuscaloosa. I believe it'll be a 24-point underdog. Yeah, second year in a row. I remember that game was tied at 3-3 at halftime last year.
That's the game that got him benched.
It did, yeah. It was he was benched before the game, and they ended up playing a second and a third. I was actually at that game, and I will be at the game this weekend as well, in Tuscaloosa. But yeah, I think Bama. I thought there would be more of a transition. They looked better than I thought they would yesterday. I thought going from Saban to DeBoer, there would be some flow issues there. Apparently not. DeBoer's a great coach. We know in the long run, if they leave him alone, if they're going to be accepting of a 9-3 season sometime either this year or next year up there, he's going to get them right back to where they were. Alabama's going to be a top 5 consistent power under him. They hired the right guy. They just got to leave him alone and give him some time and space to do what he needs to do. So I think Milroe could definitely creep into that conversation if Alabama becomes a player for the SEC. Gabriel, I've followed Dylan Gabriel at 3 schools. He started at Central Florida, kicked my alma mater's butt, did really well at Oklahoma, and is now I thought he'd be really, really good and step right in. Looks like that was a bit of a struggle yesterday. I don't know if that's going to be a long-term issue or not, but I would definitely not have him as the favorite right now. And let's face it, if Travis Hunter keeps doing Travis Hunter things, if he doesn't get hurt, tell me he's not going to be in New York at least. He may not win the trophy, but he's going to be in the downtown athletic club. I don't see any way that a kid who plays 12 games like that on both sides of the ball, that is that dynamic, the play of the year, he's already got the play of the year and he's playing on both sides of the ball. That catch he made in the corner of the end zone was one of the most amazing things. And Heisman campaigns are built on images like that, on plays like that, because let's face it, all of us who even cover this game, I'm watching 4 and 5 games at a time sometimes. You're missing stuff. Nobody's seeing everything. And so it's those images, especially with the voters that are so casual, those are the things that kind of stick out. So to me, Travis Hunter's where the money is. I think he was 40-1. I'm seeing some like 25-1s now out in the streets. He was 40-1 before the season started. I think that'll continue to come down. I do think there is value there.
He's Colin Sherwin, college sports editor, DraftKings. You can follow him at Colin Sherwin. 2 L's there as well. And get ready for USF Alabama next week. Colin, thanks so much for spending some time with us this morning. Happy football season to you.
Appreciate it, guys. Enjoyed it.
Take care. Colin Sherwin, some good insight there as well. We'll continue to tackle the college football slate, look ahead, LSU and USC, but it is still baseball season. We have one last round of home run bets to give out with a little dingbat next. Last week, we made you money. Will we continue to do so this week? Pat?
And that's 2 out of the last 3 weeks, Shawnee. I think we went 4 of 9 2 weeks ago, 4 of 9, 4 of 9 3 weeks ago, 4 of 9 last week. So boys are hot. Boys are cooking with gas. Tell Andrew Williams, put us on the schedule again next Sunday. Forget about Costos. We got home run bets to give out.
I'm sure that's what everybody's going to be looking for next Sunday morning in week 1 of the NFL is their home run bets for sure. I think it's exactly what they're looking for. Yeah. 4 of 9 or 409. Some might say we're cleaning up, Pat. How about that? You get it? It's a cleaning spray. I think it went over your head. All right, we come back. Dingbat, Kenny, break it out. Let's go. Home run bets. It's BetQL's 5-star weekend. Continuing on next.
BetQL 5-star weekend will be back on the BetQL network. Presented by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Every Saturday from noon to 4 Eastern.
Can you explain to me how these are the same odds? Can someone please explain to me how these are the same odds? I've looked at this over and over and over again.
On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL network. Presented by BetMGM.
Are you ready for the most interactive sports gambling show? Introducing BetQL's Send It In with PJ Glasser. We want to hear from you. Send It In is about your picks, your trends, and your fades. Share your thoughts, predictions, and your best daily best bets with the Send It In community. Set your reminders, mark your calendars, and get ready to send it in on weekday afternoons at 1 Eastern on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL network presented by BetMGM.
Baseball is winning on the BetQL network with Bet for the Cycle featuring Cody Decker.
Cody Decker, former professional baseball player, turned professional smartass on the radio.
And handicapper Rob Brown.
Couldn't hit a baseball off a high school pitcher. That's why I played soccer.
Double plays, props, and parlays.
Not only Blue Jays run line here, Cody, I might tease it up to an alternate run line of -2.5.
Join the chaos every Saturday from noon to 4 Eastern.
Can you explain to me how these are the same odds? Can someone please explain to me how these are the same odds? I've looked at this over and over and over again.
On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL network. Presented by BetMGM.
Are you ready for the most interactive sports gambling show? Introducing BetQL's Send It In with PJ Glasser. We want to hear from you. Send It In is about your picks, your trends, and your fades. Share your thoughts, predictions, and your best daily best bets with the Send It In community. Set your reminders, mark your calendars, and get ready to send it in on weekday afternoons at 1 Eastern on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM.
Baseball is winning on the BetQL network with Bet for the Cycle featuring Cody Decker.
Cody Decker, former professional baseball player, turned professional smartass on the radio.
And handicapper Rob Brown.
Couldn't hit a baseball off a high school pitcher. That's why I played soccer.
Double plays, props, and parlays.
Not only Blue Jays run line here, Cody, I might tease it up to an alternate run line of -2.5.
Join the chaos every Saturday from noon to 4 Eastern.
Can you explain to me how these are the same odds? Can someone please explain to me how these are the same odds?
Exactly what I was
I've
gonna
looked at
say.
this over and over and over again.
On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL network, presented by BetMGM.
Are you ready for the most interactive sports gambling show? Introducing BetQL's Send It In with PJ Glasser. We want to hear from
Star Weekend on the BetQL network. Presented by BetMGM. The sportsbook born in Vegas. Download the app today.
Back to back to back. Anybody else hearing a weird echo?
Yeah, it's a mean echo we're getting.
Man, the echo's very mean. Do we know why we're getting an echo to our control staff? I'd like to press on, but it's booming back in my ear.
We bring the boom. We bring the boom to you.
All right, no response.
I've had
We'll
it.
just got the press on.
I've had enough of that, by the way. I've had enough of the
What?
Rizzler. I've had enough of Big Justice. I've had enough of the double chocolate chunk cookie. Have you seen that? Have you been
No,
have
I
you been
haven't.
made aware to this? Really?
No,
Why am
I know who
only
the
person
Rizzler is now.
I brought this up on the morning show, by the way, on WFAN earlier this week, because you got the Major League Baseball account tweeting out, like for Rizzler, retweet for Big Justice. I'm seeing, the U.S. Open is tweeting about the Rizzler. I've had enough. This little overweight, heavy set kid who's like a TikTok star now, and he has joined forces with this guy, with his dad and his kid, who are like the most cringe people I've ever met. They basically just go to Costco and they just walk up to random people and they make them have a chicken bake and then they have them try a cookie. And I've had enough. I've had enough.
That's
if you don't know who the
gimmick.
Rizzler is, Sean, Google it in the break.
I know the
and you
Rizzler.
will become okay. So you know
I
the
know
Rizzler.
the Rizzler. I know he's the chunky kid, but I don't know these people that go up to you at Costco and they just make you eat a chicken bake. Or what if you say no?
AJ and Big Justice. And that's that was I think their rise to stardom, which I can't believe I'm saying that. I mean, anybody can get famous nowadays, right? How are you and I not famous yet, Sean? How are you and I not famous to the, I'm talking about like multi-million followers on TikTok / I don't have TikTok, but Instagram / Twitter. Like, anybody can be famous. And these guys got famous because they did a song, "We bring the boom, we bring the boom to you." I can't stand it. It has ruined me. It has broken my brain. But yes, they go to Costco and they basically they get a chicken bake and they get a double chocolate chunk cookie. And they basically say, you try the chicken bake, you try the double chocolate chunk cookie, and then you got to give one the boom and you got to give one the doom. It has taken over my algorithm. I have tried to avoid it. I can't do it. I'm out. I'm done.
Good bit. That's a good bit. I like that. That's a good bit. And some would argue I am famous. Have you seen my above ground pool?
What?
I have an above ground pool, so I'm doing pretty well in life. That's all I'll say. Okay. Half deck too. Half deck. All right. Last week we gave out winners. Kenny Gunnar Henderson. It's your last rodeo with us here. Bring your pretty face up here, will you? Well, you know,
Kenny,
What's up, guys?
What's up?
Kenny.
I wasn't expecting I wasn't expecting some Rizzler talk when we got back, but
it's unpredictable, Kenny.
That's right. That's what the show is all about. Except for we can predict home runs. That's what's predictable.
Oh, look at this! He's learning how to be a radio guy. I love it. I love it. Some might argue he is a radio guy since he works in radio. Nonetheless. All right. For one last time, we have a rock, paper, scissors game to play. You guys ready? Twitch.tv/BetQL, where you could watch rock, paper, scissors in real time. It's an original gimmick I've come up with. Here we go. Rock, paper, scissors. Says shoot. Oh, I got paper. Pat and Kenny put out scissors. You guys go again. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors. Says shoot. Oh,
Ooh,
Kenny puts out
with
paper. Kenny with a boom,
Perfect.
Pat with the doom. He puts out the rock. Kenny will pick first. Pat will pick second. I will pick third. Without further ado, for the final time, let's hear the intro for Dingbat.
Who will win? Who will lose? Who will look dumb? It's time for Dingbat with Sean Marash and Pat Boyle.
Surprised you didn't forget it that time.
I didn't forget. It took me to the last one to remember that we do, in fact, have an intro for Dingbat. All right, the name of the game, it's not really a game. We're just going to each pick 3 home run batters. We can't overlap. We draft them. The loser is a Dingbat. We won't find out who the loser is until next March, so we'll figure it out. Okay. Kenny, let's go. First pick. Who are you taking?
Have you guys seen that Paw Patrol episode with Aaron Judge where he goes, I'm going to go boom with my bat? Have you guys seen that? Yeah, that's what he's going to do today. Number 52, Aaron Judge, the 101 overall in this Dingbat segment, per usual. I'm happy I got the pick because he's got to hit number 52. I don't think he's hit one all week. He hasn't hit one since he went back-to-back last Sunday when you picked him, Sean, right? Or was it Pat?
Correct.
I forget.
I picked him, and I remember last week you said, there should be a punishment if you take Aaron Judge and he doesn't homer. So I'm glad that you put that onus on yourself now, Kenny.
I did because I'm very confident he's going to hit a home run today.
Okay. What are the odds on that?
All right.
Plus 110?
No, he's actually like plus 200 today. I think that's great value because I think Miles Michaelis is on the mound for the Cardinals. Not very good, so.
How about that?
Okay.
How about that? All right, so Kenny going with Aaron Judge right off the board. I'm trying to play this the right way. I don't think any of my 3 guys are players that you will have, but I think the one that might be the biggest chance that you guys have that I'm going to go ahead and get off the board right now. Sunday Night Baseball. He has struggled for most of this season. Now he's starting to find it in terms of the long ball. Give me Matty Olson to go deep tonight, Sunday Night Baseball. Aaron Nola on the mound, yes, Aaron Nola is phenomenal. But Matty Olson, again, he can slug with the best of them. He can take guys deep. So he's got 4 bombs in his last, 10 games, I believe that is. So, yeah, I'm going to go a guy that I have avoided like the plague here for the last couple of weeks. He's starting to find it now. Give me Matty Olson plus 290. I think he goes deep tonight for the Braves, who, by the way, shut out last night. So they need somebody to run into one. And if anybody can do it lately, for me, that'll be Matty Olson plus 290.
Wow. Okay. With that, I'm going to do something that's never before been done here on Dingbat. I thought of a loophole last week, and since I'm the creator of rules here, this rule's going to stand. What, Pat? What do you got?
What, are you going to take Judge as well?
Plus 720. I'm going to take Aaron Judge to hit 2 home runs today for the New York Yankees.
Ooh. He's got to hit 2, though. Otherwise, you lose.
Pat, I'm aware of how gambling works. That's my loophole. A 2 home run bet. Okay? Aaron Judge to hit 2 home runs. Stones on the table. Kenny, back to you.
I love that. 52 and 53 today from Judge. Maybe we get that. So I like that. So I'm gonna go with another kind of chalky pick, but he hasn't hit a home run all weekend. But I like his matchup against Alec Marsh, Brandon's brother. They actually might be brothers. I'm not sure. But anyway, I'm gonna go Yordan Alvarez of the Houston Astros hit a homer today.
Okay. I like it. Boyle, where are you going?
I'm trying to think if it was last week or 2 weeks ago when I took, I don't know if I forget who it was, but I know I took somebody that hit home runs in 3 straight games. And that's what I'm going to do again this week. Not only home run in 3 straight games, he's got 5 home runs in his last 7. Give me Willie Adames of the Milwaukee Brewers here. And he's got a lefty pitcher on the mound that he's going against. So the matchup in his favor, he mashes lefties. On the mound for the Reds is Brandon Williamson, who is making his first start of the year. Trying to figure out why was he hurt? Is that why he hasn't pitched since last year? Either way, Brandon Williamson making his first start of the year, so he makes a mistake. I'm hoping it's going to be to Willie Adames here. Give me the Brewers shortstop at plus 290. Back-to-back plus 290 odds picks for Patty. Matt Olson and now Willie Adames at plus 290.
I like it, Pat. I like it. So pick number 2 for me. How about a guy who has gone 11 games without a home run? 11 games without a home run? That's Marcell Ozuna at plus 240 today. He has 6 homers lifetime against Aaron Nola. Now, I know Nola's pitched well in August, but come on. Eventually, Ozuna's not going to fall off a cliff here hitting home runs. 11 games, the time is right. Ozuna back. Give me Ozuna to hit a homer.
Love it. I'm going to go to a guy who I think is one of the most underrated players in all of baseball, the 2-time World Series MVP, Corey Seager, today against the A's. He's going up against Mitch Spence, which is another good matchup for him, a right-handed pitcher.
Eager to pick Seager.
Doesn't have a great ERA. Yeah, love it. I got my guys.
Okay, I got my guys. Calm down, Kenny. What do you got, Pat?
I'm glad that nobody, we forgot there's a game going on at Coors Field today, right? Where the wind is.
I'm next.
Somebody might have taken Shawnee's pick here. There is a guy, and it's the best nickname in baseball, right, Shawnee? Tony Taters. Anthony Santander going up against the lefty pitcher and Ty Blatch, who stinks on ice, and Santander went deep last night as well. I think he doubles up. I think he hits home run number 40 on the season, and he's at plus 300 in the thin air of Denver, Colorado. Who would I be? I'd be remiss if I'm not going with Tony Taters, Santander plus 300 to go deep today. How do you like that?
I like it. Wasn't my pick. I'm going Gunnar Henderson plus 310. 25 homers versus right-handers. This is Coors Field. This is the thin air. Inexplicable loss yesterday for the Orioles. They know they have to wake up today and get a win as they just meander through the second half of the schedule. I'm funner.
Ty Blatch is a lefty, by the way.
You're right. My cheat sheet was wrong.
I wasn't going to say anything. But no, Gunner's good against lefties too. I've seen him hit. He hit one off Rodon, he hit a 450-foot bomb off Rodon a few months ago. So
Carlos Rodon also stinks.
Listen,
so does Ty Blatch or
there's relievers that come in the game. I don't want to throw anybody who may or may not be a sponsor under the bus, but I was reading the little cheat sheet of notes today. And that's it. So anyway, I'm sticking with Gunnar Henderson. I still pick Judge with 2 homers. Stone's on the table. Let's have another week. Let's tater some bombs. We're hitting home runs. We're having some funs. And sometimes I eat my hot dog without any buns. All right, when we come back. Kenny, thanks so much for all your help on Dingbat this year, pal. You were a pleasure. Enjoy your White Sox baseball, man. All right? All right, when we come back. Hot takes, hot cakes. Hour number 3, GTFO or oh yeah, still to come. Plus, of course, our best bets of the day to close out the show. It's BetQL's 5-Star Weekend continuing next.
BetQL 5-Star Weekend will be back on the BetQL Network. Presented by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas.
From you. Send It In is about your picks, your trends, and your fades. Share your thoughts, predictions, and your best daily best bets with the Send It In community. Set your reminders, mark your calendars, and get ready to send it in on weekday afternoons at 1 Eastern on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM.
Baseball is winning on the BetQL Network with Bet for the Cycle featuring Cody Decker.
Cody Decker, former professional baseball player, turned professional smartass on the radio.
And handicapper Rob Brown.
Couldn't hit a baseball off a high school pitcher. That's why I played soccer.
Double plays, props, and parlays.
Not only Blue Jays run line here, Cody, I might tease it up to an alternate run line of -2.5.
Join the chaos every Saturday from noon to 4 Eastern.
Can you explain to me how these are the same odds? Can someone please explain to me how these are the same odds?
Exactly what I was
I've looked at this over and over and over again.
On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM.
Are you ready for the most interactive sports gambling show? Introducing BetQL's Send It In with PJ Glasser. We want to hear from you. Send It In is about your picks, your trends, and your fades. Share your thoughts, predictions, and your best daily best bets with the Send It In community. Set your reminders, mark your calendars, and get ready to send it in on weekday afternoons at 1 Eastern on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM.
Baseball is winning on the BetQL Network with Bet for the Cycle featuring Cody Decker.
Cody Decker, former professional baseball player, turned professional smartass on the radio.
And handicapper Rob Brown.
Couldn't hit a baseball off a high school pitcher. That's why I played soccer.
Double plays, props, and parlays.
Not only Blue Jays run line here, Cody, I might tease it up to an alternate run line of -2.5.
Join the chaos every Saturday from noon to 4 Eastern.
Can you explain to me how these are the same odds? Can someone please explain to me how these are the same odds?
Exactly what I was
I've looked at this over and over and over again.
On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM.
Are you ready for the most interactive sports gambling show? Introducing BetQL's Send It In with PJ Glasser. We want to hear from you. Send It In is about your picks, your trends, and your fades. Share your thoughts, predictions, and your best daily best bets with the Send It In community. Set your reminders, mark your calendars, and get ready to send it in on weekday afternoons at 1 Eastern on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM.
Baseball is winning on the BetQL network with Bet for the Cycle featuring Cody Decker.
Cody Decker, former professional baseball player, turned professional smartass on the radio.
And handicapper Rob Brown.
Couldn't hit a baseball off a high school pitcher. That's why I played soccer.
Double plays, props, and parlays.
Not only Blue Jays run line here, Cody, I might tease it up to an alternate run line of -2.5.
Join the chaos every Saturday from noon to 4 Eastern.
Can you explain to me how these are the
Welcome back to BetQL 5-Star Weekend on the BetQL Network. Presented by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Download the app today.
BetQL's 5-Star Weekend, presented by BetMGM. Final hour of the show. I'm shoveling a Pop-Tart in my mouth. Patty, favorite flavor Pop-Tart, go.
Oh, what's the brown sugar cinnamon?
Yeah, you're like, okay, that's a classic. That's an OG. Kenny goes s'mores? That's too new and hip for me. I'm a traditionalist.
Dumb.
I'm having the chocolate
Dumb.
Pop-Tart right now. Gives you a little fix.
It's just
Pretty
chocolate?
good. Yeah, it's got to have the icing with the white sprinkles.
I would.
Good.
High school, I went through. It was like I think it was my sophomore year of high school where I had a Pop-Tart every single morning for breakfast, and I alternated between the brown sugar cinnamon and what was it, the strawberry. Was it
The
just
classic
strawberry?
Classic
Yeah.
strawberry where it has the white frosting with the sprinkles and the strawberry inside. That's a classic flavor. Cherry, a classic flavor. The brown cinnamon, a classic flavor. The classic chocolate I'm having. And if I had to pick another classic flavor, it's not going to seem classic, but like the first one when they started to get crazy, there's a million Pop-Tart flavors now, was the wild berry with like the blue frosting. That one was kind of classic.
Yes, that was a good one. That was a good one to mix in the rotation every couple of days or every couple of weeks. You go through a box. If I had it too many days in a row, I get that. Yeah, you can't overdo it. But every now and then, it's like your third pitch in the arsenal. Yeah, bang.
Interesting.
Bang.
Kenny goes strawberry number 2. Dan loves cherry. All right, you know what? We found something, folks. We're all in pretty good agreement on good Pop-Tart flavors. The moment, I gotta be honest with you. Big argument with my wife about a month ago. Send her food shopping, goes out there, gives it a good effort. I tell her, bring home the chocolate Pop-Tarts. I don't eat them all the time, but, I go through a pack, takes a month, right? Brings home chocolate chip Pop-Tarts. I said, sweetheart, what are these? She goes, I got you chocolate Pop-Tarts. I said, no, you didn't. You got me chocolate chip Pop-Tarts. The frosting's not the same. The filling is not the same. I don't know why they're calling it chocolate chip. There wasn't a hint of chocolate chip in it, but the chocolate tasted a little off. Starts yelling at me. Chocolate chip is chocolate. I said, no, it's not. When I asked for a chocolate Pop-Tart, I asked for a chocolate Pop-Tart. Don't tell me you know what a chocolate Pop-Tart is. So she left the house in a huff. I have made sure to leave those chocolate chip Pop-Tarts sitting in that cabinet as a reminder to her of her absolute disastrous food shopping. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to send the message, Pat.
Yeah, I mean, you got to lay down the law. You got to let her know who's boss.
And if there's ever a time to wear your pants, it's, over Pop-Tart flavors. So that's what I do. That's what I do in my house. All right, without further ado, before I derail the show anymore, you guys are here for bets, right? So it's hot takes and hot cakes time.
Good morning, people. Boy, do I need some hot takes and hot cakes. Pat Boyle and Sean Marash, give it to them.
Oh, we're going to give it to you. It looks like, I'm not kidding. I was just talking about Pop-Tarts. Pat is betting something else pop-related, and I don't know what it is. I'll let him start it off.
Yeah, back to the U.S. Open, baby. This is the primetime match tonight on Arthur Ashe Stadium. Francis Tiafoe, the one of 3 American men remaining, 4, along with Taylor Fritz, Tommy Paul, and the aforementioned Brandon Nakashima, who, by the way, last hour I'm giving you the over 37.5 with Nakashima and Alexander Zverev. That match was at 4:30. Yeah, 4:30. It's probably going to end up going off around 5 o'clock. I got the over in that one. I'm fading the American tonight. I am give me the Australian, the Aussie, Alexei Pop-Tart Popyrin, -120 on BetMGM. to me, this is Popperin has been one of the best players on the planet in the last month here. Wins the Masters tournament, the second tier in terms of prestige and ranking and prize money and all that stuff behind the 4 Grand Slams. There's 13 or 14 Masters tournaments. He wins the one in Montreal where he basically pulled off 5 upsets in a row, beat 5 top 20 players in a row, was dominant. And now here at the U.S. Open, he's backing it up. He had very easy matchups the first 2 rounds. Then he gets Novak Djokovic the other day, who, yes, there was familiarity. He had played him at the Australian Open, and he played him at Wimbledon. Took a set off Djokovic each time, but gave him a hell of a battle, and then went one better and beat Djokovic 2 nights ago. I don't know if you saw that match. His skills are off the chart right now. He's got a gigantic serve, can pop at 135, 140 miles an hour. But the difference is from the match that Francis Tiafoe played 2 days ago, where he beat Ben Shelton in a rematch of last year's quarterfinal, is that Popperin can actually outlast Tiafoe from the baseline, right? So he's not Shelton. For the most part, I like Ben Shelton, but for the most part, the last couple of weeks, he's just basically been a big server who, hasn't been very good from the baseline. Popperin is much different. Not only does he have a big serve, he's got a really, really good forehand. And when these two guys square off with one another, the backhand to backhand battles, right? When you hit the ball, normally you hit across court. That's the most common, types of exchanges. I think Tiafoe's backhand is going to be exposed big time tonight against Popperin. And I think also playing in this, the energy letdown from Tiafoe. He played 5 sets 2 days ago. And it was a 4-hour match, a lot of emotion. That's a lot to get yourself revved back up for here. And I know you think it's easy, but oh wow, he's playing prime time 2 days later. What are you talking about? I'm telling you, it's a lot to then come back from after playing a 5-setter against your best friend with all the pressure, the expectations, a lot of attention on that match. For him to then come back 2 days later and play a guy that's playing the best tennis of his life, who just beat Djokovic, who's playing with a ton of confidence. I think it's too much to ask for, especially with the pressure that's going to be on Tiafoe in front of the home crowd tonight. There's still a couple of, like I said, there's 3 other American men, so it's not like all the hopes of a nation rest on him. I just think he's going to get outclassed in this matchup, and I don't think he's going to have the fight and the mental energy to grind through this match, and that's what Popperin's going to do to him. Tiafoe is a weak returner to begin with. That's why Shelton was able to get a lot of easy points off his serve. So I think that's a problem. But again, the baseline where he was able to be better than Shelton, he's not going to be better than Alexei Popperin in this match tonight. And I think this line, when I'm looking at it, and with tennis, I think we do this with NFL, right? Guess the spread, right? Cousin Sal and I almost called him Bill Ryder. Bill Simmons, they kind of made that. That's what I kind of do with tennis. In terms of where I gauge my bets, I say, all right, this is where I think the line's going to be, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's this. I went into this, I said, I think Popperin should probably be a minus 150 favorite on the money line. I was like, but it's the U.S. Open. It would not surprise me that if the sports books made this basically a pick'em, and I was right, and that's exactly what it is. So I think this is, a lot of people are saying, oh, American Tiafoe night, he just beat Ben Shelton. He's gonna win again. I think Alexei Popperin wins this one quite comfortably, if I'm being honest here, but I'm not going to go ahead and go with any set handicaps, for him to win in 4 sets or less or 3-0. I'm just taking Alexei Popperin to win this match. Again, he's been great. This is their first meeting, by the way, so I think Tiafoe is going to have a lot of trouble dealing with the Popperin serve. And Ben Shelton, a lefty, by the way, Popperin, a righty. So again, it's a different match than the one he played 2 days ago. Popperin's coming off the win against Djokovic. His confidence is through the roof. I think he silences the American crowd tonight. Alexei Popperin minus 120 on the money line. Give me the Aussie and fading the American. And Shawnee is still on mute here, so
let's get it popping, Patty. Let's get it popping.
There we go.
Okay. All right. I'm going to leave you with my last hot take of the year, and it leads into football. It's going to be a double whammy for you. I am betting a couple different teams because you should always sprinkle a little change all over. But I believe the Kansas City Chiefs will fall short of the Super Bowl this year. The Kansas City Chiefs will not represent the AFC in the Super Bowl this year. Period. Stop. That's my first hot take. I believe the Cincinnati Bengals will. I'm open for debate and argument. elsewhere. I'm not nearly as down on the Texans as some seem to be. As a result, whatever that playoff loss is, will be the final game Andy Reid coaches in the NFL. We have seen really weird rumors the last couple of years that there was just going to be it for Andy's, and it never is. But I'm still a smoke fire guy. I think that there's still got to be some kind of truth there where Andy Reid just feels like he hangs it up. And I think ultimately the falling short this year, Andy Reid will run off to the sunset, enjoy the rest of his life, and Mike Vrabel will be the next Kansas City Chief head coach that coaches Patrick Mahomes in a Super Bowl. Andy Reid out, Vrabel in after the Chiefs fall short of a Super Bowl. Pat, I'm steadfast in this. I still think Deion Sanders is ultimately going to coach the Cowboys. I have a strong leaning Andy Reid done in Kansas City after this year is my big hot take.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all, right? I mean, I was stunned. I think a lot of people were stunned. Mike Vrabel couldn't get a head coaching job this year, especially what we've seen, what he's done with Tennessee in years past. Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback, always builds a great defense, always has his team prepared. Betting on Vrabel as a dog, phenomenal. And now you're telling me he's potentially going to be the coach of the greatest, one of the greatest quarterbacks already that we've seen of all time here. I like that, and I agree with you that I don't think the Chiefs are getting back to the Super Bowl either. I'm big in on the Bengals bounce back, rejuvenated season this year with Joe Burrow. I said I think Burrow or Purdy win the MVP, so I like that. I think the AFC is as stacked as it's been in recent times. We said that last year, but it's hard to win. It's hard to win back to back. It sure as hell is hard to win 3 in a row, man. And this Chiefs team is good, but we know the question marks around the receiving room. And now Hollywood Brown not expected to play already Thursday night, so take that into account as we haven't even talked about Chiefs Ravens, right? This is our last show. I think we definitely have to do that at some point. Hint, hint. That might be Boyle's beef bet. There you go. How can you manufacture hate with the Chiefs and the Ravens? I'll tell you how. Don't worry about it. But yeah, with all the question marks. All the question marks around the Chiefs offense here, I think ultimately it will be too great to overcome this year. I don't think you get all of a sudden the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce magic in January after the guy couldn't find the end zone for basically 2 months and then turned it on in January. So I like that. And you have Vrabel coaching the Chiefs, man. That would be juicy. I would love to see that.
Yeah, that's my prediction. You know what? Let's talk about some of that right now in the NFL. Pat, I'm just going to rapid fire on you. Team, okay. Everybody, understand that I'm not using the term everybody to mean literally. Team, a wide majority of the public thinks will be good this year in the NFL that you think falls way short of expectations. Dare I say bet they're under. And team you think is sneaky playoff team. What does Pat Boyle got? NFL.
It'd be the Jets. For me, the first one. I think the Jets fall short of the mark here. Again, I don't think, and I argued. I had a pretty animated argument with Nick Costos when I filled in on You Bet a couple of weeks ago. I don't think the commitment level and the effort is going to be there from Aaron Rodgers. In terms of his standards, the guy that has won 4 MVPs, won a Super Bowl. Kenny Henderson asking me if I switched up on this one. No, I absolutely did not switch up on this one. I've been saying take the Jets under, and I don't buy the Jets. I don't believe in the Jets for the entire summer. And that is how I am going to continue to think. And the defense is great. And you're saying, well, if they had Timmy Boyle and Zach Wilson, how the hell can they not win more than 7 games? I just don't think the effort and the commitment is going to be where it needs to be from Aaron Rodgers. And again, everything, the defense carrying a slop offense for the last couple of years. It was not to say the defense takes a step back, right? Even though I know all the talent that they have on the defensive side of the football, I do think the Jets perform this year. I think they underachieve. And then one team that where everybody thinks they might stink, and I think they're going to be good. To me, I don't know if anybody thinks that they're going to stink, but I think the Indianapolis Colts have a real good shot at winning the AFC South. I'm a big believer in Anthony Richardson. I'm a believer in what they're building, and I think Shane Steichen is a hell of a freaking head coach, man. So I think they've got talent all over the place, and it's a young defense that I think performs a lot better than they have. And they normally they get the turnovers, but they give up a lot of chunk yardage. I think the Colts defense steps up. I think the Colts would win the South. I don't know. I'm not going to bet it because the Texans are really, really good. But I do think the Colts could surprise and win the AFC South.
All right. I will give you – I don't think the Lions are winning the division this year. I think the Packers are. So whether that means falling short of expectations or not, I kind of think a lot of people are on the Lion bandwagon Super Bowl trying to find something different. Again, I was at a joint practice with them. Take that for what it's worth. I know that's not the end-all, be-all. Jared Goff's still the quarterback of this team. Let's just calm down a little bit. And that is still a very, very difficult NFC Championship game collapse for a team that if they weren't coached by Dan Campbell, you always say, man, how do you recover and bounce back from that? Look, NFC's so wide open, it's going to be hard for me to find a path for them not to make the playoffs, but I don't think they win the division, so I'm a little more down on the Lions than others. I'll give you this one, too. I kind of think Arizona is going to be spunky this year. I kind of think the Arizona Cardinals with Kyler Murray, with Marvin Harrison Jr., I think the Cardinals are going to be a little spunky in that NFC West. And I think, again, wide open NFC, I think you're seeing Cardinal games that matter in December. Do they get to the finish line? Do they get home? We'll see. But I think Arizona to finish in second behind the Niners in the NFC West, if that's a bet I could find in place, I would very much do that, Pat. I kind of like that. I'll give you another playoff team last year that I think is going to stink too, the Bucs. I think Tampa Bay, everybody, we've seen Baker Mayfield's career. Up, down, up, down. I don't think the Bucs just continue Cheerio here this year. I think they're going to have a down year. That feels like a 6-win team to me. What's so funny, Pat? You all right?
Hey, what did you say? The Cheerio? Was that a British accent you
Cheerio.
trying to break out to?
Cheerio. I watch a lot of Peppa Pig in my house. Okay, and we will be going on in a 20-week holiday after this episode. GTFO or Oh Yeah, coming up next. It's BetQL's 5-Star Weekend.
BetQL 5-Star Weekend will be back on the BetQL Network. Presented by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas.
Yeah, Pat, earlier this summer, you were a lot higher on the Jets.
Oh, is that right?
He was, I remember. I literally posted on Instagram, he was defending them when you were laughing and saying they were going to go under. So I don't know what changed his mind, but something did.
Oh, that's so typical of Pat.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, that's so typical of Patrick.
Maybe I was playing devil's advocate because of Shawnee to get in a nice little.
No.
You've always been
Pat,
on
don't
them
change
being
things
like
up.
an 8-9 win team. You were just unsure, and now you've made your take that they're going to go under. But for most of the summer, you're just unsure for the most part. But you didn't think it would be like a disaster, like Sean was saying.
Okay, that's fair.
Oh, Pat.
What do you mean, all Pat? That's not a flip flop. You were saying they were going to be a disaster.
Oh, Pat.
I said they're going to be an 8-9 win team. That's going under.
Pat, we're in bad shape.
We all
here
change opinions. Come on.
What did you say?
We all change opinions. It's all right. I mean, I've changed my opinions on a bunch of teams as the summer's gone on. So, I mean.
Yeah, but you said, didn't you switch up? As if like earlier in the year, early in the summer, I'm like, Jets win the Super Bowl, Jets win the AFC East. I've never picked them to win the division. I've never picked them to go over.
No, I know.
Pat, it's all right, man. He got you dead to rights, dude.
Making that post.
Chill.
Shut up, Sean.
Shut up, Sean. You jerk.
The AFC East is like the hardest thing to make your mind up about, though.
It is. I think the Dolphins win the division.
That's what I said. Triples of the Nova.
Oh boy, I cooked up a very good NFL Sunday scary. Giving you a week out.
Oh, come on. How many times I got to enter my goddamn password?
Calm down.
Oh, shit, I got my draft tonight. I totally forgot about it.
I can't believe they didn't call up Dominguez.
That's what I was looking on Twitter when you were talking about you and your wife and wearing the pants. I was looking at all the people freaking out on that. Now, in theory, they could call him up in what, like 2 days' time, right? Well, they could call him up anytime this month. But the fact that he's not there on, I get it. The fact that he's not there on September 1st.
Unserious franchise.
Welcome back to BetQL 5-Star Weekend on the BetQL Network. Presented by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Download the app today.
Are you doing any BetQL work in the fall? Or are you fading out until Bolivian?
No, well, Andrew Williams, our esteemed, prestiged. Our great boss, Andrew Williams, told me that I will be on the short list of people to fill in for shows throughout football season. So I would assume yes, but
okay, that's good. Good for you, Pat. Good for you. I'm glad it's been a fun run. One segment that was carried over year to year here on BetQL's 5-Star Weekend is GTFO or Oh Yeah, despite the fact that Chris Mack tried to steal it. And I think for one last time, we have to play the game, Pat. So let's go. GTFO or Oh Yeah.
It's now time for GTFO or Oh Yeah.
Oh yeah! Let's have a little enthusiasm with this one, Pat. When I get an oh yeah, I want a real oh yeah. When I get a GTFO, I want a real GTFO. Are we going to lazily do this show? We're going to bring the thunder and bring the heat. You heard? Here we go. Statement number 1. This is Dabo Swinney's last year coaching Clemson. In parentheses, he'll resign or get fired after 2024. I'm giving this a GTFO. Dabo's seen these other coaches retire. He's as stubborn as a mule. He's not going anywhere, and he basically owns Clemson at this point. Pat, to you.
I'm going, oh, yeah. The guy, like I said, to start the show, and if you haven't seen it, our phenomenal crew here has done a nice job of clipping my rant, if you will, on Dabo Swinney. And BetQL app, I believe, is our Twitter. That's I should probably know that by heart. But, at BetQL app on Twitter. And, the game has passed him by. The game has passed him by. He's still trying to recruit a team solely of high school. You can't do that. You can't do it anymore, man. In the wild, wild west of the transfer portal and NIL, you can't do it. So Dabo Swinney hasn't come to grips with the new style, the new era of college football. And I think after a tough year this year, where I think they probably go 8-4, I think he's going to resign. I think they're basically going to kind of push him out the door. But I think, Dabo Swinney resigns as head coach at Clemson, and I think that's it. And then who knows? Maybe he'll try to get in the NFL where he doesn't have to worry about NIL and the transfer portal and all that stuff. Maybe he tries to become a coordinator or an assistant, passing game coordinator, whatever the hell those other, tiers of coaching are outside of the offensive defensive coordinator. I think this is his last year at Clemson. So I'm going a big fat oh yeah, this is Dabo's last year with the Tigers.
Okay, we disagree there. I think we're going to agree here. Travis Hunter is the best player in college football. It's a big time oh yeah for me. I mean, the fact that you could do that on both sides of the ball is just incredible. And we are months away from an extreme argument, Shohei Ohtani style, about whether he could do it in the NFL and if that's the way he'll be drafted, Pat.
Yeah, as much as I want to go GTFO on this one, I got to go, oh, yeah. By the way, Sean, I have yet to hear an emphatic. There you go. Oh, yeah. I mean, like you said, he does it at both sides of the football at an NFL caliber level. So I'll just leave it at that. As much as I'd like to say, no, it's Jackson Dart or that it's Dylan Gabriel, I can't. I can't do it. Like you said, this is like the Shohei Ohtani kind of style argument. The guy pitches and he hits at an incredible level, does it at an MVP level on both sides. Travis Hunter does the same exact thing here. So, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, GTFO or oh yeah, Alabama will get a first-round bye in the college football playoff. Pat, I'll let you go first.
This is a GTFO for me. I don't think they win the SEC. That's what they have to do in order to get the first-round bye. And I think ultimately, like I said, Ole Miss will win the SEC. That's my, I guess that's my hot take. But if it's not Ole Miss, it's going to be Georgia. So Alabama is the third best team in the SEC for my money. So they are not winning the SEC championship. They are not getting a first-round bye in the CFP.
It's big-time GTFO for me. Oh, throw it out. So I'm with you on all those teams. I also would throw in, I think Texas is pretty damn good. And right now, I would take Texas to beat Alabama. Obviously, Texas, big game coming up versus Michigan. You don't have to me. They have a great quarterback, great head coach. They are the real deal. All right. GTFO or oh yeah. Deion joins Shedeur Sanders in the NFL next year. For me, it's an ooh, yeah. I do think that Deion's going to dictate and end up being the head coach where he goes, and I think it ultimately is Dallas.
Yeah, I know that. I know this is one of your big, I don't know if you call it a conspiracy theory. I don't think it's a conspiracy theory. I know that this is one of your big predictions here that you think they're both going to be on the Dallas Cowboys next year. I'm gonna play not that devil's advocate. I'm gonna say GTFO. I do think he leaves Colorado, but I do think he ends up coaching a Power 4 conference team next year. I don't think the stars will align as much as you think Jerry Jones will be, bending over backwards to get Deion to coach the Cowboys. If it's not the Cowboys, I don't see him coaching any other NFL team. So as much as that is a script that I think Jerry Jones would like to write himself, I don't see it happening. I do see Deion going to another team, leaving Colorado once Shedeur goes to the NFL after this year, but he's not going with them.
Okay. I disagree, but that's the beauty of the game. All right. Ugh. Shohei Ohtani winning the NL MVP puts him into the baseball greatest of all time debate? Are we serious with this question? GTFO. What, are we kidding me? He's not Babe Ruth. He's not Willie Mays. Can we calm down with Ohtani? I mean, every time somebody wants to tell me, and I love baseball, oh man, what a mesmerizing athlete Shohei Ohtani is. I don't know if it's just Shohei Ohtani's kind of like mint chocolate chip ice cream. Enough telling me how great it is. It's fine. It's solid. It's really good. It's not the greatest of all time. Cookie dough is. You know what I mean?
That's a full stop. That's a full stop and a full disagree and a full oh yeah for me in terms of the answer to the prompt.
You don't have to go all the way out to hot takes.
What do you mean he's not Babe Ruth? He's better than Babe Ruth. No. He's better than Babe Ruth, and he's not going to have the longevity to prove it because actually he might. I very well might. I for some reason, I don't know why I thought off the top of my head that Shohei Ohtani was in his 30s yet. Shohei Ohtani is what? He's 29. He's 29. And what he is doing on a nightly basis and a yearly basis is ridiculous, Sean. You're taking greatness for granted here. The guy is going to have 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases. And on top of that, he normally, outside of this year, normally is one of the most dominant pitchers in baseball. What are you talking about? He's not in the GOAT debate. Yes, he absolutely is. He's one of the greatest players we've ever seen. How can you say that?
He's a really good DH that can also pitch to a 4 ERA. He's fine.
A really good DH. A really good DH, you say, huh? A really good DH. The guy basically puts up 1,000 OPS in his sleep, hits 45 to 50 home runs every year, drives in 100 runs, and then, like I said,
he's a really good player. He's not the greatest of all time.
He's going to have 50 stolen bases.
I don't care how many stealing bases he has. The rules have changed, too, with the bags. All right. Can we move on?
To the point where he's getting 50? Come on. What are we talking about?
You're really passionate about this. All right.
Yes.
You ready?
Yes.
You ready?
Yes, I am. The guy's one of the best pitchers on the planet, and he's right up there with Judge, the best hitter on the planet. What are you talking about?
He's not right up there with Judge. Judge is on another planet compared to this. If Judge is on Venus, Ohtani's on Pluto. Okay, in terms of planets.
So we're just throwing out that stolen bases mean nothing because the bags are bigger, right? It's a 50-50 for the first time in history.
You're
is not
me act
nothing.
like I'm diminishing him as a really good player in today's MLB. He's not one of the greatest of all
You
time.
just said he's a really good DH. What are we doing here?
Pat, you can't be one of the greatest of all time if you're not even the greatest player in your current era, and Aaron Judge is. Period. Stop. End of discussion.
He's a better baseball player than Aaron Judge because the guy can pitch at a Cy Young level. Yes, he can. Yes,
and what about
he is.
the defense that Aaron Judge plays at multiple positions?
Yeah, he's a great defender. He's a great center fielder. He's not one of the best pitchers, though. If Aaron Judge steps on the mound and starts pitching to a 3 ERA, then we can have the conversation. Until then, Ohtani is a better baseball player, and he's in the GOAT debate. Absolutely.
You're better than this, Pat. I feel very sorry for you. Patrick Mahomes plus 500 will lead the league in passing yards in 2024. The highest ticket percentage currently CJ Stroud at 13.5%. The highest handle 13.3%. The biggest liability to lead the league in passing is Will Levis. Patrick Mahomes, the odds leader, plus 500. Okay. This one I find difficult because remember, if things are tight, a team that's, throwing its way back from behind, a quarterback could be helped that way. Ooh. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think Patrick Mahomes leads the league in passing yards. It'll be close. It'll be up there. I still think it's going to be Tua. I think the defense of Miami took a step back, and I think they're going to be launching balls in the air nonstop to Waddle and Tyreek. I think Tua hawks his way to lead the league in passing. Pat.
I agree that Mahomes won't. By the way, I just want to say, biggest liability means that if that person leads the league, that means the sports books are going to get, dude. You want to talk about having pull. You want to talk about having influence on the sports books. You want to talk about having influence on the betting markets. Do you remember? I don't know if you do, because it came on BetMGM tonight with our friend Ryan Horvat. But a certain guy that's wearing a Play Like a Champion today hat said, Will Levis over passing yards. I think he gets to 4,000. I think this line is dumb. I think it was at 36.50. And I'm all in on Will Levis. How about that? Now he's the biggest liability. Patty Boyle has influenced the masses. Everybody that has a brain is on Will Levis to lead. Everybody's in the footsteps of Patty Boyle.
Got the last hour of the show, Pat Boyle's ego. You couldn't fit it through the screen here? I mean, what's going on here?
I'm leaving it all out there to hang.
Pat yourself on the back for liabilities? This ain't the Pat I knew for 8 months.
Well, hey, it's a new Patty as we get to football season. I just love that. Will Levis' biggest liability. That's hey, some people are sharp, some people are square. And don't touch me because you'll get poked with the sharp edges. I agree, though. I don't think it's Mahomes. I think the receiving room is such a big liability for the Kansas City Chiefs, and they want to have a balanced run game. They want to have a balanced offense. Pacheco means so much to their offense now. And again, normally if they're playing with leads, they're not throwing the ball. And even, Mahomes still racked up 4,200 yards. He was sixth in the NFL last year in passing yards. I don't think it's going to be him. I don't know if it's going to be Tua. I would say Jordan Love would probably – I'm not going to bet this, but I would probably think Jordan Love would be my bet because of what we saw the second half of last year. But, I mean, it's Mahomes against the field. I'm going to go GTFO. Mahomes will lead the league in passing yards.
Okay. All right. GTFO or oh, yeah. Christian McCaffrey will lead the NFL in rushing this year, plus 300. The highest ticket, highest handle, biggest liability is on Zamir White, but the odds leader is Christian McCaffrey, plus 300 to lead the NFL in rushing this year. I'm going to start off, oh, yeah. No, I think McCaffrey stays healthy this year and absolutely just pounds the rock, although I know they just spent a ton of money on Brandon Ayuk, but I do think McCaffrey ultimately, we're trying to overthink this thing, will lead the league in rushing.
You said McCaffrey will?
Yeah.
Yeah. this is a tough one for me. I'm going to be honest. As much as I hate to do it, this is kind of like a pass for me. I'm not. I'm not saying. Excuse me. I'm not advocating to bet McCaffrey at plus 300 to lead the NFL in rushing this year, but it just feels like he's gonna. Right? I mean, he had 300 more rushing yards than anybody else last year in the NFL, and as good of a dual threat as he is at catching the ball, we know that the Niners want to run the football. Shanahan wants to pound the rock. That outside run zone scheme is just it's unbeaten. It's unbeatable. It's phenomenal. So he stays healthy. He's going to do it. But I mean, the odds are pretty crap here. I'm surprised Zamir White, and I know that Brandon Jacobs has gone. Zamir White is now the lead guy for Vegas.
Josh Jacobs.
What did I say? Andrew Jacobs?
Brandon Jacobs.
I got the Giants on my.
Brandon Jacobs has to run the ball in a long time. Yeah.
I got Giants on the brain here. Yeah, I know Zamir White's the lead guy now in Vegas. That is shocking to me that he is getting that much play, highest ticket, highest handle, and the biggest liability to lead the NFL in rushing this year. That's crazy to me. I mean, I know again he's going to get a ton of carries. He's the main guy, but still, I mean to have more rushing yards than Saquon, to have more rushing yards than King Henry, than McCaffrey, then it's a lot of guys. That's an eye opener for me.
Yeah. Have more rushing yards even than Tyrone Tracy, who's obviously going to have a ton this year as well. It's BetQL's 5-Star Weekend presented by BetMGM. I'm Sean Morash. He's Pat Boyle. Patty is going to figure out a beef bet, and basically he's already hinted at it, folks. It's going to be a bet on Thursday Night Football. I got beef with the Ravens starting the season early. He's going to manufacture something and give you a play. I'm going to give you a Sunday scary play. We're going to give you some D-Gen bets. I got a bet in a WNBA game today. We're going to go out with a bang with the D-Gen bets as well. It's BetQL's 5-Star Weekend. Only one more segment. Please get the tissues. Please get the sad tissues. We're closing out the show next. Twitch.tv/BetQL. As soon as I hit the music, I could properly hit a post, but we still haven't figured out how to play the music properly with the proper volume. And here we are on the final show for 6 months. Thanks so much, Kenny. It's BetQL's 5-Star Weekend. We will be right back.
BetQL 5-Star Weekend will be back on the BetQL Network. Presented by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas.
Same odds. Can someone please explain to me how these are the same odds? I've looked at this over and over and over again.
On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL Network. Presented by BetMGM.
Are you ready for the most interactive sports gambling show? Introducing BetQL's Send It In with PJ Glasser. We want to hear from you. Send It In is about your picks, your trends, and your fades. Share your thoughts, predictions, and your daily best bets with the Send It In community. Set your reminders, mark your calendars, and get ready to send it in on weekday afternoons at 1 Eastern on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM.
Baseball is winning on the BetQL Network with Bet for the Cycle featuring Cody Decker.
Cody Decker, former professional baseball player, turned professional smartass on the radio.
And handicapper Rob Brown.
Couldn't hit a baseball off a high school pitcher. That's why I played soccer.
Double plays, props, and parlays.
Not only Blue Jays run line here, Cody, I might tease it up to an alternate run line of -2.5.
Join the chaos every Saturday from noon to 4 Eastern.
Can you explain to me how these are the same odds? Can someone please explain to me how these are the same odds? I've looked at this over and over and over again.
On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL Network. Presented by BetMGM.
Are you ready for the most interactive sports gambling show? Introducing BetQL's Send It In with PJ Glasser. We want to hear from you. Send It In is about your picks, your trends, and your fades. Share your thoughts, predictions, and your best daily best bets with the Send It In community. Set your reminders, mark your calendars, and get ready to send it in on weekday afternoons at 1 Eastern on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM.
Baseball is winning on the BetQL network with Bet for the Cycle featuring Cody Decker.
Cody Decker, former professional baseball player, turned professional smartass on the radio.
And handicapper Rob Brown.
Couldn't hit a baseball off a high school pitcher. That's why I played soccer.
Double plays, props, and parlays.
Not only Blue Jays run line here, Cody, I might tease it up to an alternate run line of -2.5.
Join the chaos every Saturday from noon to 4 Eastern.
Can you explain to me how these are the same odds? Can someone please explain to me how these are the same odds?
Exactly what I was
I've looked at this over and over and over again.
On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM.
Are you ready for the most interactive sports gambling show? Introducing BetQL's Send It In with PJ Glasser. We want to hear from you. Send It In is about your picks, your trends, and your fades. Share your thoughts, predictions, and your best daily best bets with the Send It In community. Set your reminders, mark your calendars, and get ready to send it in on weekday afternoons at 1 Eastern on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. On your home for wagertainment, the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM.
Baseball is winning on the BetQL network with Bet for the Cycle featuring Cody Decker.
Cody Decker, former professional baseball player, turned professional smartass on the radio.
And handicapper Rob Brown.
Couldn't hit a baseball
on the BetQL network. Presented by BetMGM. The sportsbook born in Vegas. Download the app today.
Our weekend presented by BetMGM. Sean Morash here, Pat Boyle here. It's our final segment, man. It's our final segment. We got plenty of bets to give out. Yeah. I think I want to get cooking on the bets, and we can kind of close out some thoughts and stuff from the show's run, and see what the future holds here. So why don't we just get it going here, Pat, with some degeneration bets?
I might be a year older. I might be a little grayer. But at the end of the day, I'm still a degenerate.
All right, it's wings and fever. No, a bird doesn't have a sickness. I'm talking about WNBA. And today, Caitlin Clark is plus 600 to score the first basket of the game. I'd like a little better odds, but I'm on it. And now, I understand that we've all been engulfed in the football world, and how couldn't we? The baseball world to an extent. How couldn't we? Has anybody seen the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark since the Olympic break ended? She is on another level, and maybe, just maybe, that couple weeks off not being on an Olympic team was absolutely great for her. It feels like she's now in a second season as a WNBA pro, and she's been awesome. So I'm gonna ride the mojo. 4:00 game later this afternoon. Caitlin Clark, first bucket in her game later. Fever and wings plus 600. Pat, what's your DGen bet?
It's going to be more tennis for me, but this is this is about as DGen as it gets here. Coco Gauff playing Emma Navarro on the women's side today. Give me, you got to shop around for this, but give me Coco Gauff over 6.5 double faults. How about that? That's plus money. I think most of the places that you can find it. You know what a double fault is, right, Shoney?
Yeah, when you hit the line twice.
Yeah, when you can't get your serve in twice in a row. So Coco Gauff is basically having a little bit of serving yips here lately. Here's just her last couple of matches. Last match is the only time she's gone under 6.5 in the last 5. She had 4, but the match before that, 9 double faults, and that was in a straight set win. The match before that, she had 6 in a straight set win, so I guess that went under. But then the 2 matches before that, she had 9 again, and another straight set match had 8. So I think this match goes 3, if I'm being honest. But I think even in a straight set match, she potentially could go, or I think she will go, over 6.5 double faults. They played at Wimbledon. Navarro crushed her in straight sets, and she was dominating Coco Gauff's second serve. So whenever she would miss the first serve, Navarro would step up. She was blasting the second serve right back at her. So
right.
I think that's
going to remember that match well. Right.
Exactly. So I think Coco is going to be forced to go a little bit bigger on her second serve, which would lead to more double faults. And on top of that, like I said, she's having a little bit of yips getting that second serve in regardless. So I think that all spells over 6.5 double faults for Coco Gauff. How about that?
That is a D-Gen bet. And obviously, look, we follow the legendary career of Coco Gauff. I hope that she figures out the yip stuff here because I just want to get back to when I remember her the best, and that was being able to not fault on these serves. Okay. Patty, it's that time, baby. Let's do a Sunday Scary.
The weekend is almost over, but there's still time to place just one more bet. Don't panic. There's still time to win it all back. It's time for the Sunday Scaries.
I'm going to give you a Sunday Scaries that you can wait to bet until next Sunday to be scary about, all right? It's my last chance to give you an NFL winners parlay, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Look, if I've learned anything from the first weekend of college football, it's that dem dogs are barking, Pat. Plenty of dogs covered. Dogs winning does happen a little more in the NFL as the books start to figure things out. And remember, the first week of the NFL, nobody has any idea what they're talking about. So I've lined up 4 underdog winners. I'm going to bet them all separately, but I'm going to throw them together in a parlay. And I was curious what the parlay would lead me to, and it was 40-1 odds. So hear me out. I gave you a little tease. I like the Arizona Cardinals this year. I think Kyler Murray has a big bounce back spot. I think that Marvin Harrison will be very good. They scream a team to me that nobody believes in that suddenly you look up and is a playoff contender. The Bills. I mean, last year they had to turn it all the way on in the second half. I think the Bills are going to have a little bit of an adjustment period here in September as they try to figure out what life after, Stephon Diggs and some of those guys, Gabe Davis, and then some of the guys they've lost on defense is as well. Is Keon Coleman ready to step up, be a number 1 wide receiver? Yes, they are going to have those tight ends. I think a dicey spot for Buffalo at week 1. I'm taking Arizona in the upset, leg number 1. Leg number 2. We've talked about this one off the air, on the air. The idea that the Bears are 4.5-point favorites versus the Tennessee Titans in week 1. I know that Mike Vrabel's not there anymore. Screw that. I'm taking the Titans to win this game outright. I think Will Levis is going to throw for a lot of yards in this game. And I think the Tennessee Titans, I know no more Derrick Henry there as well, but I think that's okay. A different identity will do this team well as they look to throw the ball. Just stay away from Jalen Johnson's side of the field. That's pick number 2. Pick number 3, my beloved New York Giants. Are you kidding me? No Jordan Addison, no TJ Hawkinson, no more Danielle Hunter in Minnesota. Yes, they have Justin Jefferson. Sam Darnold's playing, and I'm getting 1.5 at home. I'm taking the Giants on the money line. They're going to win this game in week 1. They're celebrating the 100th anniversary. If they lose that, I mean, it's a critical disaster. Giants, leg number 3. And leg number 4 for me. You Falcon lovers. Let's relax. Russell Wilson is named the starter in Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin falls asleep and wins 9 games. I am skeptical on how many games the Steelers actually will win, but I'm taking them week 1 in Atlanta. I think they have a little moment. George Pickens making plays. I think I got to see it from the Falcons first before I'm jumping all over them. They're 3.5-point favorites in week 1. No thanks. Steelers win outright. Giants win outright. Titans win outright. Cardinals win outright. 4 legs, 40-1. Your Sunday Scary. You're welcome. How you doing? Enjoy it next Sunday. Pat, to you.
Wow. I'm thinking about going with the chalkiest of the chalk week 1 in my sleeper pool. My words are tough.
Suicide pool, knockout pool.
Yeah, it's not sleeper. What am I talking about? Suicide. Yeah, suicide pool. I usually get a couple of picks each. Me and my old man. I was thinking about splitting the difference with the Bengals and the Bills. So man, if the Cardinals pull off that upset week 1, whoa, a lot of people are going to be out immediately.
Interesting that you would go Bills in that spot. I think that the Saints and Bengals will be the most popular picks week 1.
Yeah, Saints for sure. I trust the Bills too. And look, I don't, again, I saw the steps back that Buffalo took this offseason. I'm not saying they're going to be a great team, but week 1 at home, man, I would hope they could take care of the Cardinals. But you hit that leg, Shawnee. The rest, I feel like, has got a really good shot of hitting 40-1. How about that for a week 1 hitter? And where the books are looking to clean up on the NFL, you can hit a 40-1, take home a couple hundred, maybe a couple $1,000 in your pocket. Ooh, that's tickling the undercarriage, as you like to say. All right.
Yes, it is.
Since this is our last Sunday show here, it's been a fun 25, 26 weeks here, man. I've loved doing these shows with you. And got one more Boyle's beef bet, so why don't we get to it?
Pat Boyle's beef bet of the week. I'm angry. I'm ready. I need to bet. It's Pat Boyle's beef bet of the week on the Bet.
Yeah, after seeing the Chiefs and Ravens, here we go. NFL kicks off Thursday night. After seeing the Chiefs and the Ravens go at it in the AFC championship game just back in January, and I know playoff football is different, but to see that game go 17-10, 27 total points, I'm not sure how much has changed to where you think this goes over the total here. Again, the Chiefs already, Hollywood Brown is doubtful to play in this game. The Ravens, I know they added Derrick Henry, but it's in Arrowhead, so I like the Chiefs defense to be stout, at least in that matchup on Thursday night. And let's be honest, as much as I've loved betting on preseason football. I've absolutely loved it, Shawnee. I've raked in a ton of cash on it. I've loved betting the unders. I've loved betting first quarter spreads, first quarter money lines, first half spreads. It's been a dream come true. But we see the product, and this is where I'm pissed off, because we've seen what the product is in the NFL weeks 1, 2, and even week 3 for the most part. I mean, look, these guys, they get rid of the extra preseason game. That's fine. But a lot of these teams treat the preseason like it doesn't matter. Oh, we're not going to play anybody. We're not going to play our starters. And then we see as much as we're excited just to have football back, to watch Red Zone, to watch Sunday Ticket, to watch whatever the hell how you consume your football, as pumped as we are about it, the offense is largely underwhelming, and it's disappointing, and it's, for the most part, slop in terms of the offensive efficiency we get week 1, 2, and even 3. So I'm pissed. I'm pissed that we're going to watch some sloppy offensive play, most likely from the Chiefs and Ravens, two teams that are Super Bowl contenders. And I see an over-under of 46.5 after we saw primetime unders hit at a historic rate last year, and you're throwing out a 46.5 at me for Chiefs, Ravens. The emotion and the physicality that this game is going to bring you, Patty's going under. Patty's going under 46.5 here. So I'm pissed off that it's going to be probably a game where we're lacking that offensive firepower. Or maybe it's 3-3 at the end of the first quarter. We're saying, come on, man, where's the Mahomes highlight? Where's the Mahomes flashy throw? Where's Lamar Jackson dicing up defenses? It's going to be a lot of sloppy play because these teams basically sat most of their starters for the entire preseason. The Ravens did. The Chiefs at least played Mahomes for like a quarter or so. But the offense ain't going to be there, and that's fine because I'm going to be raking in the cash when everything is said and done. Under 46.5. How you doing?
Remember, Pat, offenses, though, maybe they get off the slow starts. Defensive players are always more gassed in the early goings of these seasons. So maybe that is a way to look at the over. But you give the under. Hey, guys, listen. That's it, Pat. We had a good run, man. A good run. We will see what the future holds. I'd like to think that there's a world, because I've done this 3 straight years, where me and Pat are back. But maybe they say no thanks, Sean, or no thanks, Pat, or no thanks, Sean and Pat. But we will see. Regardless, you can follow us on our socials, at Sean Morash, at, I always get this wrong, Pat Boyle 41?
Pat Boyle 44. Come on, it's right there on the screen.
Pat Boyle 44. Thank you to Amir Tyree. Thank you to Kenny Gunnar Henderson. Thank you to Dan Turner. We could not do this without them and the hard work they did, as me and Pat basically popped on the microphones at 8:59 Eastern every Sunday morning. They prepared the entire show and dealt with all the crap I threw their way, and they had thick skin. They passed the sniff test for me. Those are bright, bright young people with a bright future in the business. Thank you to everybody, and thank you to our listeners. Listeners, viewers, you gambled with us, you laughed with us, you love with us. Enjoy your football season. And keep it locked here for all the great BetQL programming. We'll see you when we see you. Take care, everyone.
You've been listening to the BetQL Network, presented by BetMGM. If you missed any of the shows, listen back anytime on the new and improved Odyssey app.
High school pitcher. That's why I played soccer.
Double plays,